Welcome to the Flowing Through Film podcast. This is episode 75, and this week we are going to be talking about my pick for this series. My name is Blake, by the way, your host, and I picked Tsai Ming-liang, who is my favorite director. But before we actually get into anything, before we get into just what he means to me and kind of what your guys' experiences are with him, let me introduce my co-host, Danny.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hi.
Alright, so Tsai is I consider him my favorite director right now, and I don't see it, there are other directors that I would also consider, like a top four, like Mount Rushmore, but Tsai's always going to be there, you know? Mostly because, I've said this on multiple reviews, I feel like, for him, on Letterboxd, for his, for multiple movies that I've seen, but he was, the one that got me into, slow cinema, basically. It never really clicked with me before. I think I had seen a few slow cinema movies, but they didn't really click. I think I had seen even Theo Angelou, one of his movies before Tsai.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Tarkovsky? I guess
I had seen a couple
Tarkovsky's.
Yeah, I consider him slow cinema, but I hadn't seen a lot of his movies up to that point. I don't think. But I had seen Uncle Boo and Me, which that didn't connect with me as much, and I still haven't gone back to watch that one, which I need to.
Damn.
But then I watched Rebels of the Neon God, which is one of the ones we'll be talking about today. And while now I don't think of this one as slow cinema, even though it most definitely is. It most definitely is to a general audience, but whenever you get more into Tsai's filmography, especially, this one's such a fast-paced movie.
I felt the same way about Vive L'Amour too. When I first watched Vive L'Amour, especially, I was like, damn, this is really slow.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
And I watched this, and I'm like, damn, this is actually kind of not that slow. And compared
it
to
flows. Well, yeah, because once you're into Tsai's world, it just kind of flows. I personally don't think any of his movies are that slow anymore. Just because I know his way.
Stray Dogs.
Yes, that one. We'll get there. Because I've only seen that one once as well. And one of the reasons why is because it is really slow. But that was why I consider him probably one of my favorite directors, because he introduced me, or didn't introduce me, but got me into slow cinema. Because it only takes you understanding one, and then you kind of get it. You at least get what they're trying to go for. Yeah. But before we go into the actual movies, let me ask you guys what your experiences are with Tsai, because I actually don't know yours that well, Danny. I know that I think you told me about Rebels of the Neon God, maybe. I think you saw it before me.
Oh, really? Damn.
I think
I watched it in 2019. This was I watched...
maybe I watched it first.
We watched at the library, that we were just picking out random movies.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the DVD they had there.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that, this was the movie that Tsai was the director that got you into slow cinema. Because it's actually a term I really don't like the term slow cinema, but I kind of understand where people are coming from when they talk about just basically longer takes and... You know, maybe just less narrative than a normal movie. But it's funny because I had watched a few slow cinema directors at that point, and I've watched some more after Tsai, but it was almost the opposite experience for me. I remember watching him, and I was I think I'll like him at some point later on, but he is he's I just don't, he doesn't click with me.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that at the time, because the two movies I have seen from him are these two, and now. Later on, now that I knew you were going to pick the series, I watched Journey to the West. It's and I love that one. So I know, now going back, I'm going to really like him more.
Yeah.
But it's weird at the time, we were set the call. You didn't like Uncle Boo Me, but I love that. Actually, the first time I liked it, watched it, I kind of liked it, and then I watched it the next day and I loved it. So it basically was a movie I loved already from the first time. But it's weird that's why I don't like slow cinema as a category, because it's it makes you group Tsai and We Are Set the Call, but really they're way different directors. They just have certain stylistic techniques that maybe are the same.
Well, yeah, it's also just it's kind of why I also don't like the term art house cinema or foreign cinema.
Yes.
It's like a very like
it's the reason why I don't like, because maybe they do a good job of describing what the films are, but really it's like it makes you think of what a normal movie is.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes everything compared to what a normal film should be, which a normal speed is, you know, which really is like, to me, is like slow cinema is what movies should be.
Yeah, but I think
a normal movie
I think that's
is way too fast, and it like on purpose because they don't want you to think about what's actually going on. Because if you did, like you wouldn't actually care about it.
No,
really.
I think that's why slow cinema is actually a decent term. Though, like I don't hate that one as much as I hate other genre labels. The
reason why I don't like it though is because from an outsider's perspective, if you hear that, you're gonna be like, oh, of course, like it just sounds boring. Like just literally, and that's part of the term is like slow is. People equate slow with boring.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason like why you said like Tsai is like the first one that clicked with you and why you don't see him as slow anymore is like, to me, that's why I don't like the term slow cinema, is because once a director that makes slow movies clicks with you, they feel fast or normal. Yeah, you know, because it just means you have to click with them on a different like.
Yeah, and you have to buy in.
It's almost like they're asking you to pay attention in a different way than a normal kind of stereotypical film would.
But that's why I think slow cinema is a good term for it, because the directors themselves, I think, acknowledge that they're trying to change the medium.
Okay, basically. Well that's fair, but
they're trying to do
slow,
something different. No, that's at least Tsai's definitely trying to be slow.
But in style though, he wouldn't be like, he doesn't want you to have a slow experience watching it necessarily. You know, like watching Journey to the West, where they're like basically like still frames almost, and they're like very just a guy slowly walking. At the same time, they're like super exciting. Right, like he wants you to be paying attention.
He wants to bring you into a mood.
It's almost like basically, it's slow so that you can pay attention more to everything that's on the frame. Yeah, you know, so it's almost like your mind is actually having to go faster, like to pay attention to everything that's going on. Honestly, that's why I don't like the category slow, because people just think of it as boring.
And you saying that has been something I've been thinking about recently, because like I've realized like recently when I'm like kind of like when I'm in a mood that a lot of people would be like, oh, like I'm just like kind of stressed out or whatever and I'm tired. I want to watch like a fast-paced movie. I'm kind of starting to become the opposite, where I'm like, I kind of like to just sit in like a slower movie.
Yes,
because it's just more relaxing in a way.
No, dude, that's why I'm like, I know I'm gonna love Tsai this time, like for a lot of reasons. Like I should, like Tsai's top 10 lists are basically like all bangers, you know, that I loved. Except for Fassbender that I haven't really watched.
And a lot of them like make sense too. On why you could see why he loves that movie. I
rewatched Mouchette yesterday. Because I was like, damn, that kind of makes sense that would be Tsai's favorite Bresson. Because it was like, for a while, it's been my least favorite Bresson because it's kind of just his most depressing in some ways. Yeah. But watching it this time, like, I liked it a lot more, and I can like, you need to watch it. Honestly, you should watch it. It's only 80 minutes too, so but you got to watch it for the series too, because you can see like that main character is like, you can tell that inspired like a lot of Li Kang-sheng's kind of basically like. No talking of the main character, and it's almost like what society does to that main character almost. You know, just like we can see it through their face a lot of the times.
Which I'm pretty sure, isn't that movie connected with Ozar Balazar? Because like you just said you could say the same thing about
like that's why you could tell like he likes the Persona in general. That's like it's a similar theme throughout the Persona.
Then he also has like Antonioni on there, which that's like obvious, using architecture like with modernization, like mixing that. Maybe he's not as depressing as Antonio, even though I do think Antonio is not a humorless director.
I think he's a little more like sentimental too.
Yeah, sentimental.
Or emotional, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
Which is not bad or good. I'm just saying it's just different than Antonioni. But we've kind of just rambled. What about you, Blake?
So, Tsai, I watched Rebels Neon God for the first time, which was my first movie from him last year. Kind of like I think October of last year, like September, October, and so I'm really bad at watching directors in order, but Tsai like was like one of the first directors I actually like consistently went through like in order each movie.
Yeah,
and it was kind
of
similar.
Is there a reason for that? Like, what,
to be honest,
it
just kind of felt like it just kind of did that. Yeah, a feeling. That's the way to say it. And like I had a very similar experience to Blake, where he like I had seen cinema that is slower. Like I love Tarkovsky when I started him, But like he was like one of the first like extreme one of the first extreme directors, like directors that were in that extreme slow cinema, I guess. I that's just how I'm characterizing it. But
at least with the long take, I would honestly just say long take cinema or something.
But yeah, but like
like most films don't have long takes because like you'll start to notice all the flaws in the
even long take cinema would be like a term that doesn't
it doesn't fit a lot.
You have to be a confident filmmaker.
Like some people call Ozu slow cinema, you know.
He is slow cinema,
but none of his cuts are slow at all. Like he's fast. Like he doesn't hang more than 5 or 6 seconds.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it.
But
like because one of Tsai's picks is The Only Son on his top 10.
Yeah.
So like you can definitely tell he has those.
God, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. But I remember now. So like, I kind of grew up like he really like taught me how to watch like very slow cinema, and like and basically me watching him has gotten me into like other slow cinema, like Where's That the Call, Bellatar.
Yes.
I watched my first Angelopoulos kind of recently. Like there's other ones too, but like he's really like made me fall in love with him, and then he's become one of my favorite directors. As I basically watched all of his movies throughout the second half of last year. So, and I'm really excited to rewatch him. But yeah, amazing director.
He is an amazing director. No, I do have one question that I wanted to ask you guys before, and probably at the end of this podcast, or at the end of the series also, just to see if your answer has changed in any way. But I did read this book called, like, Tsai Ming-liang, A Cinema of Slowness. But what my question is like, why do you think Tsai's movies are like a cinema of silence more so than, like, slowness even?
Cinema of silence?
Yes, because, like, meaning, like, was he trying to like, say... By doing it this way, by like making his movies like super silent, not a lot of music. I mean, there are musical numbers as we'll get into later on in the series, but everything else is all like basically diegetic sounds.
I mean, it's
and the rest is silence.
That's
so.
You saying that makes me think of a couple things, like because I mean, both of you guys know my two favorite directors are Bresson and Moneyball.
Yes,
and I mean, Tsai relates to both of them in pretty unique ways. And I was going to mention this a little later, but I'll bring it up now because I was reading this. It's actually an essay Moneyball wrote on Indian painting, but it's basically kind of just, in a lot of ways, it's about his thoughts on film too. And he mentions in like Indian philosophy, there's basically 5 ways of perceiving an object. But also in some groups of Indian philosophy, there's also a 6th perception they call, which is the perception of absence. So basically perceiving the absence of an object.
Yeah.
And they actually have a term for it called, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's called anupalabhati. And it really, it's like, they actually, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's basically like this idea of perceiving the absence while you look at something.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it gone while you're looking. And to me, like, watching Tsai, even these first 2 movies, like, that's basically what Tsai's movies are. Like, you're watching, like, a character walk, like, even be next to a character. And all you can see is like what they're missing.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't even see it literally, but you're still perceiving the absence, literally like as an object. You know.
And also like I think the slowness like it really helps it sink in for you. It makes you think about it a lot more. Like there's a lot of scenes in those movies where like a lot of the meaning in it is a bit shrouded in the filming of it and your first reaction to it. But like by looking at it more, you kind of get to think about it more, and then it kind of comes to you, basically.
And to me, that's silence is a big part of that.
Yes.
I've seen that. You have to be silent to actually perceive, something's almost gone. And like, it's kind of crazy.
We'll definitely get into this because, like, I think he's one of the greatest uses of like sound in cinema. Yes. Honestly, like him along. I put him along with like Tati. Yeah. Because both of them use silence to emphasize the sounds they want you to hear, especially.
Yes. There's definitely connection.
Like they use that absence to also later on reinforce what you're hearing.
Yes.
And we'll get into that in both these movies, obviously. But
no, like every sound like feels so much more important because there's so much silence in between.
Yes.
No, that's why like you can tell he's like probably studied Bresson too. You have to because like Bresson has one of his little aphorisms is basically there's 3 elements in a film: sound, images, and silence. And you basically have to, and he says like find the rhythm between those 3. Yeah. And like to me like watching these 2 is like that's what Tsai is too, because like especially the no music. Yeah. That's both of them and that's a huge part of it because they want you to hear the sounds even more. Yeah. And a lot of times music will give away emotions for how you're supposed to feel about a movie to where you ignore the sounds in general.
Yes. In these 2 movies, but what's so interesting is then Tsai just like completely goes the opposite direction, like The Hole and Wayward Cloud and I guess Face in general.
I wouldn't call it the opposite.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's a bit too far, but like you see what I'm saying, like it's like it's interesting. We'll talk
he
about that.
he definitely has music, but all the music is done. It's done in a way where it is still diegetic sound because it's still everything. It's everything happening that you can hear on screen, or at least like see on screen. That's what's like.
And dude, that's like I mentioned this before, but that was like Bresson's rule. It's like basically no music.
Yeah, I know.
And then in asterisk he has except for diegetic or except for music diegetic music.
Yeah.
And so almost all Bresson's music in the later movies is like music that's happening on the screen, so it's like part of the movie itself, you know. No, dude.
Yeah, so like I think the reason he's doing that, and my opinion can maybe change on this, but it goes to kind of like what your point of like slow cinema being like not a derogatory term, but like term you don't love, but it's more so like he's wanting to actually engage us.
Yes.
Like he's forcing us to watch the movie, literally watch the movie, and we'll definitely get into this in Vive L'Amour especially, but but that was just one the first question I wanted to ask you guys in this series. Like, just keep that in mind. Also, just like how does he use silence? Because we'll be seeing that a lot, obviously. But let's go on ahead and start with Rebels of the Neon God. So you guys have both seen this one, thankfully. I know that. It opens at a phone booth.
Well, should you guys say our overall thoughts on it?
I guess, yeah. You guys want to say your overall thoughts?
I mean, I was.
I thought that we kind of already did, but we can go.
Well, I'm mostly curious about Danny's thoughts mostly, because you only
gave.
I
liked it way more. I gave it 3.5 my first time.
Yeah, I know that. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like, even then, I could tell I was probably still more in my like. I was a slave to the linear narrative back in the day in 2019. You know?
Even though this one does have the most linear narrative,
it actually does. So. But still, it really doesn't at the same time. Like,
yes, exactly.
It is just like a day in life almost. Like you could say there's some kind of narrative, but really it's like it's almost an excuse just to show the
just
three characters or the two characters, or actually three. Yeah. No, it's weird. Like both of these movies are good. To do next to each other because they are like similar in some way, in a lot of ways, obviously, but then also in a lot of ways are different too. Like what characters they choose to focus on and not focus on, and like how Li King-sheng is kind of different in both of them, but
also,
but Rebels. But I'll stick with Rebels. But the reason I brought both of them up is because the first time I liked Vive L'Amour more, but this time I think I like Rebels more.
Okay, that's something that Luke asked me beforehand if Rebels is going to be cemented as my number one forever, and I said no, just because it's like. I love all these movies basically the same, and I'll go on ahead and say this part now before you get more into your thoughts. Yeah. But definitely keep in mind, and Luke actually watching these movies in order is something that I think is good because, like, it's best to think of these movies not as single, like most movies you think of it as like a book, and you're getting 1 act, 2 acts, 3 acts. You close the book, it's done. Yeah. With Tsai, these are literally just chapters of the same guy's life. We're following Li King-sheng's story basically. Through Taipei,
and by extension, Tsai as well.
Yes, by extension, Tsai for the last 30 years, basically. Because I'm pretty in all the movies, he plays the same character. These are all his parents, the same parents.
I'm pretty sure Tsai said this, but like, I mean, he hasn't made a movie without him, right?
No.
So basically, like, there is no Tsai without. Like they're one, you know.
They are
like for most directors, it's like, oh, they made some with this actor, some with that actor. But like for these two, it literally is like they're one and the same.
Yeah.
And because, like, how did he find him? Do you know how he found him?
No, he was he was outside a movie theater laying on a motorcycle, right? Yeah. And then Tsai saw him and went up to him and asked him if he wanted to be in his movie.
Yeah.
And Tsai knew he was the one when he took like 3 cigarettes, puffs of a cigarette before he answered. Like,
yeah.
Is that how it went?
No, it's something like that. Yeah. They definitely met. And the funny thing is, because this actually plays into Rebels, is that Li King-sheng was actually cramming, just like he is in this movie, to get into college. Like he was he was like attending a cram school to try to get into college. And so Tsai found him and was like, "Hey, you want to be in my movie?" And he was like, "Yes." After three drags on a cigarette,
or something like yes.
But they are one. And they've actually said that. Like if people interested, if you like Tsai Ming-liang, which hopefully you do if you're listening to this, and you haven't seen Afternoon. Like, it's just a conversation between them two.
I think I'm going to save that until we get through some of these.
Oh, you should.
Yeah, you should.
No,
then I'll
you
watch
should.
them.
Yeah, but in that documentary, it's a documentary, but it's just a sit down conversation with them two. Like a
138
fireside.
minutes too.
It's like a fireside chat.
Yeah,
2.5 hour
like
long
one
fireside
unbroken
chat.
shot, basically.
It is one unbroken. Well, it is broken a couple times, but it just goes to like a black screen.
They ran out of tape or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. But that's something Tsai actually has said before. It's like they're like a married couple basically, except they're not like obviously sexually attracted to each other.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, we should mention though also something I was going to bring up is that I'm excited to rewatch it because now I know Tsai is actually gay.
Yes.
And I'm honestly curious because watching these two movies, like, there's a whole different angle if you look at through it.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Because Tsai does sex scenes like no one else in cinema.
Yes.
Like literally no one else. He doesn't.
And also, yeah, and particularly like Li Kang-shang's character in his movies, his sexuality is always like it isn't straightforward.
No, it's not straightforward, and we'll definitely get into
especially
that.
in Rebels.
Also,
yeah.
well, I was going to say especially.
Vive L'Amour. Yeah.
But yeah, they've literally the Tsai's literally said that they're basically like one person. Like
they say soulmates, like basically.
That's what he said. He said that they're
definitely cinema soulmates. So.
Oh yeah. Well, they literally they live together. They've lived together ever since the first movie. So, but yeah. So do you guys just want to get into the movie?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So it does open, and I think it's very important. The opening is it's raining on this phone booth because Tsai, one thing that he loves in his movies are water and mirrors. And I do want to ask you guys. I'll probably save that question. Well, I mean, we'll get to it here soon. But there's a shot in Vive L'Amour, like one of the first shots, like Li Kang-shin just looking right in the mirror, and he just holds on that shot for like 20 seconds or whatever. But it's just we'll get into that later. But yeah, so this is why I consider that Rebels kind of like a more straightforward movie because it's just like Azu and I think his name is Aping.
Yes, his name.
Yeah, Aping. They're stealing. It's showing their life. They're basically kind of petty criminals.
They're rebels, you know.
They are. I mean, they do worship the neon gods. So, but yeah, they're just stealing coins out of a phone booth. Like we see already that they're kind of in bad straits. Even before we go to the apartment where Zhu lives.
And we kind of need this one scene kind of to like just explain to us how they get money in the first place. Because we never see them working or anything.
No, so literally never. Literally never.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but you have to wonder. It makes you wonder like why they're not working.
Well, because we a little later is it Atsei or
Azu.
Is Chen Azu? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay, Azu. His friend, the one they're robbing together. He works at a phone company or something.
No, they joked around about that because when
were
they're talking to the girl, like they're like,
yeah.
she's like, where do y'all work? You're like, oh, we're executives at the phone company or something like that.
Oh, did they say executives
or something like the high? Like,
I didn't know they were. I thought they were saying one.
I'm pretty sure they were just joking about because they were stealing coins
yeah,
from the
that
phone.
makes sense. Yeah. But I was like saying, oh, that makes sense that he works there because they know how to steal stuff. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think they're just joking.
But either way, no. I mean, this scene makes sense too. No, I like you said about the water too, because I read you know who Nick Pinkerton is, right?
Yeah.
He loves Tsai, and especially his early.
He wrote a book on
movies.
Goodbye Dragon Inn.
Oh, damn.
I believe. Yeah.
Seriously? Okay.
Yeah.
Just on one movie. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot in that movie. That movie.
But I was reading his review about Rebels and the Neon God, and he talks a lot about how. Well, not a lot, but he mentioned how Tsai water is like a theme throughout his movie. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention for that because like.
Yeah.
That's also a huge theme in Tarkovsky too, and Bresson as well. Like, it's just a lot of directors like love that. Like certain directors have certain themes of like nature or whatever they come back to.
It's a huge Buddhist theme also because that's something that I should have mentioned earlier. Is that Tsai is one of the foremost like actively Buddhist directors. Like
honestly, I should have mentioned at the beginning when we were talking about that because that's another reason why I was way more interested in coming back to Tsai this round. Just like how much more I've learned about Buddhism in the last few years. So.
We see Buddhist ceremonies in both these movies.
But but I was gonna say it's interesting how he uses water in Rebels, like with the water drain clogging. Like it's like it's interesting. Like it's still water, but it's also like a very modern kind of like almost depressing look at it too. You know, it's not just.
There's so many ways to view the water in these movies.
Exactly.
Is the thing because like. That specific scene that we're about to get to is whenever he first gets to the apartment, you see that the water is clogged again. Or, like, you assume it's again because it's just, like, clogged. But it floods their apartment, basically. Or it floods the apartment he and his brother live in. And you're like, okay, what's he trying to say with this water basically being stopped up here? It's because later on in the movie, we see the water does drain.
Yeah.
Whenever, I think it's, like, either right before they go to steal the arcade cabinets or right after. Because, like, you're wondering, why does the water get unclogged right then, basically? Like,
Actually,
what does that signify?
we'll come back to it, because I'm pretty sure it happens, like, it's something with the girl, like, they're together.
It might be with the girl.
So I'm pretty,
Yeah,
like, because I remember seeing it
time.
this same time, and I was like, it has something to do with his luck changing. That's how I read it. Like,
Yes.
oh, the water's draining right at this good time in his
Yes.
life. And then, because it does, once it starts clogging, it's like, oh, his luck's changing again. Like,
Yeah, the worst
other
day of his
way.
life. The worst
Yeah.
luck of his life.
But also, that's like kind of like one of the reasons why Buddhists and water, like, they love the theme of water, or at least water flowing.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's always changing. And like this is like one example if he keeps going back.
And I
and
mean
forth.
that specific last scene of the shot, which like we'll have to pay, like I told you guys already, pay attention for mirrors, but reflections as well, because like one of the last shots of this movie is Zhu and Quay or whatever, Quay. I think that's her name, Quay. She's standing there and they're hugging at the apartment, and then it's just shot from back there, and it looks so insane because you're like. The water. It almost looks like the water's rising to them.
It does, yeah.
Like that's literally what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it's a
Like
great
you're watching
shot.
something like that, but you realize it's just a reflection
Yeah.
of them on the ground still,
Damn.
like basically stuck in the situation that
Damn.
they're in.
No,
Which we'll get to that more.
You're like,
obviously.
I have to mention it now. No,
Yeah, we had. I mean, it's a
That is a
podcast
great
tradition.
shot.
So
No.
podcast tradition of mentioning the end of the
End of the
beginning.
beginning,
so-
yes.
We do this all the time.
We
Yeah,
have to.
No, but so yeah, we have them stealing the coins, and our first introduction to Li Kongsheng comes right after that, with him stabbing a roach with one of those things that you use to like make perfect circles at school. I don't know what they're called anymore, but
Try? No.
I used to know what they were
I
called
know what
whenever
they're-
I was in
hold
school,
on,
but I
hold
don't
on.
know
I know
anymore.
this. I know this. It's the no, I can't. Oh god,
Does it start with an S?
my
Stanograph or something?
no. It's,
Definitely
it's
not
something really
stenograph.
simple. It's something really simple. Yeah.
Just cut this out. We'll get the actual name.
This. I mean, yeah. That's all I'm thinking about now. Like you have
Compass.
to- compass.
Yeah.
I knew it was something simple. Like
Compass?
Yeah, it's a
I knew it was
compass.
something fucking simple. Like
What?
Okay, we can leave that.
This is why words make no sense. Compass shouldn't have two different meanings like this. There should be a different word for that.
But
Compass
they
already
are-
has a more important
they
meaning
are
of like
very two
pointing
different.
north, that like with magnets and stuff, whatever. Like
Yes,
But,
that's
like,
a
the
compass.
thing
That's
also,
no,
like-
that's a compass. No,
the compass like has a you can like rotate it. So I wonder if that's maybe
It's
like
related
compass
somehow.
means like like there's something the roots of the word or some shit.
I don't
fucking
know. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Regardless, he stabs a cockroach with it and keeps it on his
Yes,
desk
yes.
until it dies, or until he thinks it dies. But
And he just breaks the glass too.
yeah, no, it causes it. It's like basically the force that gets us to see like his bad family life. Like at least that's how I view it, because he like smashes the window, and then he gets the cut and he has to go into the bathroom, and that's whenever his parents start freaking out at him. Basically, and you already kind of see their dynamics at home, because this is why I wanted to say earlier, like keep in mind that we're watching the same story basically, because we'll be coming back to this flat that they live in a few times with the same parents and with functioning. So, but then after all of that, we get the introduction to Tsai's world, like with the arcade, with the arcade, and then the damn music starts playing. The score, the only score he has in any of his movies,
And it's amazing.
and it's like
Really
one
so
of the best
good.
scores
Honestly,
of all time.
it make like he was probably like, I can't top this.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
I
like-
can't
it's-
talk
I might as
so
well just drop music. completely.
It's honestly like it's like crazy how simple it is too. Like,
Yeah, it is.
It's like I mean I don't know anything about music theory, but like
But it just fits it fits the motorcycles going through the town so well. Like
Yes.
it's like kind of melancholic, but also like kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a great score.
It's more than it's one of the best scores of all time.
It's just like instant recognizable too.
yeah.
Yeah, no. Something I do have in my notes that I wanted to mention here is I was watching I think this is just all the first 10 minutes basically this opening of everything happening, and it is a lot of like there are long takes, but I have in my notes like you can already see from this movie, his first one, and like even to Vive L'Amour that we'll get to next, that he's already changed a lot, because there's way more like just quick cutting. There's way more camera movement, just way more of everything that he just utilizes less and less as he makes more movies. But but then we get to his apartment flooding, and I did want to ask you guys what you thought the water meant, but I think we already talked about that. So
And we're gonna talk about it throughout.
yes, and we will talk about it throughout this entire series, honestly. But I mean, it kind of. Do you think it symbolizes like not purity in this movie? Because in some of the movies, I would say the water symbolizes purity, but.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I don't know about this one though.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Maybe
Like,
maybe it's like something to do with like technological something about like the downsides of technological advancement or something.
Yeah,
that's about. I'm not really sure
because we see like I'm just thinking about like the Wen days where it's a different type of flooding, obviously, because actually it's not really a different type of flooding because that one his sink is stopped up and then he tries to fix it and then just explodes all over him and like starts flooding down the street. You remember that?
Yeah. No, wait, isn't that Visage?
Is that Visage?
Because no, he floods his house in Visage with the sink.
Okay, whichever one he floods the house.
Yeah, I
whichever one he floods the house.
I think he flooded his house because it was a dream sequence.
That was a dream sequence.
I think. Maybe
that whole movie's a dream. That's gonna be one. That's gonna be one. Yeah, we're doing that one because we actually have a good copy. Thank God. Okay. Shout out to one of my friends. But
I want to do that one too.
No, but after all this happens, Shao Kahn is attending a cram school. Like, we just see his life basically again. So, what do you think their relationship is? Because right now we haven't really gotten to like the point where he sees them for the first time. Yeah. But like that's one of the main points of this movie. Like
the relationship between
Kahn.
And that's something I was thinking about a lot when rewatching. Do you just want me to like talk about it?
Yeah, no, we don't have to go through this movie because like that's something that we're gonna.
It's a super interesting thing because I'm starting to think that a lot of the scenes that are just what's his name, the
Azu.
Yeah, with Azu I think some of those scenes are could be read in Li Kangsheng's head. That they don't actually exist, which I'll get to when we get to it more. But like specifically,
which ones are you thinking though? Yeah, no, just get to it.
The final scene specifically with Odds, which okay, I guess I'll kind of go on the whole rant here. Basically, I love because specifically there's an idolization. It's a very like complicated relationship between the two because it's like you can definitely read it as he wants to get back at him as his father, but at the same time it might be a romantic thing. Like an idolization, like a James Dean type, which there's one of my favorite shots of the movie is him standing looking at the James Dean poster in the arcade, and then Risey's looking at it. Odsei walks by and he looks at Odsei, making the correlation, obviously, that he sort of sees Odsei in this like James Dean bad boy.
I honestly think it's both.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like it can be read either way.
No, but I think it's both. Like in the same person. Like it's almost like he has conflicting emotions. But
that's definitely another. Yeah.
To me, like I'll talk about the scene in Vive L'Amour because they are kind of connected characters in some way. Like, remember the scene in Vive L'Amour where he's like wearing the dress and he's like walking around? It's a great scene, but like he's like walking around in the dress and all of a sudden he just starts doing push-ups. Yeah. It's like he can't decide, It's like it's like he already has both inside of him.
And
and that's why I see it in this way. In this one too, is like I think he does have romantic feelings, but he also it's a weird like revenge kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a complicated love. Yeah, that's kind of what I said in my review. Like,
because it's weird. Like his release in the movie, it's like almost all three characters have their kind of moment, but like his is like when he destroys the motorcycle and everything, and he's like actually like it's one of the few times we see him smile or any time.
That can be the only time. But the thing is that's his reaction can be read in two ways. He's happy that he got revenge on him.
Yes.
Or happy that he did something that he noticed.
Yes.
Like
provoked a reaction.
Like because you see people like with celebrity idols, if they'll like that's why celebrities have stalkers. Or, celebrities
I think
have people
it's that kind of
that.
relationship. Like,
it could be that type of thing too. But like I want to talk about specifically the first shot where he sees them because I think that's also very important. Because he's not given the context that we are of what Odsei's doing. What happened with Odsei is like he's not into this girl. This girl's like asking him for a ride. He like doesn't even know her, and they get on the. He reluctantly agrees to take her to the place. They go on their motorcycle, but he sees like this bad boy with his girl on his back. Like he immediately gets that impression that he is this James Dean type. Yeah. I think that's what's the importance of this first shot here, seeing them ride by on the motorcycle, like, and that kind of sets up their whole thing. As we talked about, but should I talk about the final scenes right now between the relationship, or should I wait? I don't know.
Keep going.
Okay, so I just keep going. Okay, and specifically the final two scenes, I think really like solidify this because you get the whole because of course when I talk about the James Dean type, he looks at the James Dean poster, he looks at him, he obviously thinks he's the James Dean type, or idolizes him in that way.
Yes,
and the final scenes is. The scene where, of course, like, what's his name? Odsei? Is his name Odsei? Okay, Otsu, yeah. He gets, like, the very James Dean, bad boy, old Hollywood type ending. It's literally, like, it's so crazy looking at it this time. Like, wow. It's honestly insane. Like, the girl's about to walk away, but then he impulsively goes towards her and, like, and then immediately grabs her and kisses her. That's such, like, a James Dean old, like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
But then... So I think Li Kangsheng is sort of like imagining that as like the ending for him in a way. I mean, it could be read as that at least. And then while the reality of Lee King-shen, like, he's going to this phone call, so he's too scared to even pick up a phone to talk to a girl, basically. Or talk to a person. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
that's kind of like that, because you can see that being all in his head because his dad's the one that drove them home.
Yes.
Obviously. Like, his dad, they even have a conversation about that, about, like, the guy that picked him up was the one they've smashed the mirror with.
And he's like, he didn't recognize me, but I still feel bad.
Yeah. But you could definitely think that was in Lee Kong-shen's head because his dad probably went home and said, "Hey, I picked up this guy that was like his buddy, just got beat the fuck up, basically." But I don't know. No, I do. I do.
I'm not saying like it's obviously like in his head. I'm just saying it's like it's something you can read.
No, yeah,
and it makes sense.
He might just be projecting it onto him. For sure.
Projecting it. Yes, and that's in sort of like, and that's kind of why like watching it with Tsai, like knowing he is gay. Is so interesting because you see like he very much like he definitely has some connection with like I feel weird saying that actually, but like you know what I'm saying, like
connection with what?
The not so straightforward sexuality of Lee King-shen's character.
Yeah, like
Tsai's sexuality plays into that very much throughout this movie. Sure. I think that's the connection he has with Lee King-shen specifically. But yeah,
no, yeah. I mean, we can get into something like we'll just go along those lines because we're basically at least chronologically in the story like at the part where we get Tsai's first sex scene in the movie. Whenever Atsu goes back to his apartment, his brother and Akwe are having sex in the other room, and this is like just the first of many times that Tsai will not show us the sex. Obviously, like most directors would, they don't show the sex actually happening, and they show instead the masturbation. Of someone else, like that's listening in,
and it gets like really.
And I noticed the way he cuts this one.
It's very surrealist.
It's like
the way he does it.
The sex. It's like it's weird. Like the masturbation is like the way when he finishes. When the guy who's masturbating finishes, it's like he's having sex with her.
Yes, he's
very the way it's cut. Yeah. Like it's only something you can only do with visually. It's hard to describe.
It feels
but the way
very
it's cut, it makes sense
when he does it. Like it's like.
But he's making that connection. Like, yeah, I mean,
it's what I was trying to, or one of the points of like his cinema of silence is he's emphasizing this specific type of sound, where most directors emphasize the woman's body, obviously during sex. They completely ignore kind of like the male, or they just always shoot from like a male gaze, obviously. That's where most movies are shot. Yeah. Tsai instead doesn't show any of the sex actually happening. Yeah. He shows the diegetic sound of a woman moaning most of the time, like her orgasmic, like the orgasmic sounds that she has. Is like what he's focusing on basically. And then that's what obviously Azu is masturbating to in this is the sound of her. Yes. So what you were saying is completely right. Like he's masturbating, imagining that he's the person next door, basically. Yeah. But that just goes also to enforce like Tsai's filming in like a female gaze, this specific scene, because he's filming Azu masturbating, not an actual like sex.
I think his sexuality has to play in there. But
yes.
It
definitely does play into it. It also just emphasizes like this loneliness that he's trying to make us like instill in us though. Like he does that in a lot.
And that scene like it's kind of crazy like knowing like the scene in Days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a full circle kind of moment in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that eventually.
Well, to me, I guess since we're talking about the sex scenes in Tsai in general, I'll say at least I can think of 3 sex scenes in this at least. There might be more, but the 3 I'm thinking of is this first one with where Atsu's the one listening, masturbating with is it his brother and his girlfriend? And then that's the girlfriend he ends up getting with, right?
Which also
we never see the brother.
We never see
basically all the sex scenes in this one. None of them are like emotional or like romantic. They're very transactional.
Which it's something that he goes more into a little more, which we'll talk about.
Yes, exactly. And we'll talk about that one later. But just to stick to this one, like I kind of noticed with all 3 of them. So this first one, right after their sex scene with the brother, we never see the brother's face.
Nope.
All we see is like he throws like his like card, like his business card. It's like if you need a car, call me or something.
Yeah.
So that's how we like once again like this is not a romantic thing.
No.
And it's like in the way it's filmed in that moment, it's like it's almost like tricking you into being like it's kind of like you can tell why people want sex is because they want at least that feeling for that moment of not feeling alone, or that transaction, at least for that moment. And so it's filmed like that. But once the moment is over, it's like very transactional, and it's I'm pretty sure this is true, but I might not be 100%. But the way I remember is the next two sex scenes are like both with Atsu and the girl.
Yeah.
And immediately after both sex scenes, he cuts immediately to Atsu going to the arcade.
Yeah.
Almost like immediately after he gets off, like he still needs stimulation, like really like right after, and he has to go to like the arcade to like basically like get his mind like stimulated again. Yeah. And I think like that's why Tsai, in one sense, like emphasizes silence so much because, and you can definitely see this in his later movies, like from what I know about them. He wants to emphasize like modernization doesn't want silence at all. Yeah. It wants you always constantly distracted, thinking about the next thing, stimulated on some kind of light or from a phone or a TV or something. And I think that's why he's like the split between his movies that are so silent versus the characters that are always trying to be stimulated. Like they're trying to find sex, but then immediately after they get it, they're like looking for an arcade right after, you know, and vice versa. You know, there's it's amazing. Like right from his opening movie. Yeah. He's already focusing on these themes, which I kind of love.
Yeah, no, that what you said. I haven't seen this short, but there's a short called Skywalk or whatever. It's like the one
Skywalk is gone.
Yeah, Skywalk is gone. Where it's Li Kongsheng is. I don't know if he's in this short, but it's the girl that he meets in What Time Is It There, and she goes back to the same place that they met in What Time Is It There to try to find him again on the Skywalk, and it's gone because Taiwan's been like. Or like it's changed.
No, I've heard that he's in that because I think like at the end
he might be in it
because at the end he's like going to a porn audition. I think
maybe because that's what connects the Wayward Cloud character. But there's a shot in this, and the reason I bring it up is because it was in the book I was reading that she wanted to like mention, and it goes perfectly into what you were saying. There's a shot of Tsai just setting up a camera, looking at where the Skywalk used to be, capturing her, and like her being kind of like dejected, just looking at this screen. That's just playing multiple ads going super fast. And it's just like him doing that. He does it also in this movie in Rebels whenever Li Kongsheng gets back the refund. It comes kind of soon where he gets back the refund and then he goes just around the town and he stops at this one place where there's just a lot of those TVs and they're playing Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
and he just holds the camera there and you see the difference
screens
between
everywhere.
You just see the difference between his cinema and what he's trying to do and then what's being shown on another screen. Because that was like that point. That's one of the points of like Skywalk. Apparently, is like he's trying to make you see that because apparently there's like a 1 minute long take of her just standing and looking at the screen of all these commercials just playing. Yeah. But it's just the difference of two types of like. I don't want to say artwork because I mean commercials are definitely artwork. I guess good ones are. And
what they're designed to do is to distract your attention or sell something to you.
Yeah, he's just showing the difference in like what he's trying to do.
When Terrence Malick directs a Ford commercial, that's art. You know.
We've watched that Ford commercial. It's fine.
Yeah.
What did you say, masterpiece?
I was saying masterpiece.
Oh my goodness.
That was a joke. Honestly, I'm starting not to support these commercials from Malick though because they're making him not make movies. They're just fun in his life. Like.
By the way, we should put on record Danny still has not seen Hidden Life.
I'll watch it.
I haven't either. So.
When we get a release date for Way of the Wind.
Oh, okay. So never. Okay. So you're fine with that? You're fine with that? Like,
I believe.
Yeah, but then I mean, going chronologically, the next scenes we've already kind of talked about, where he like knocks out the dad's window whenever they're on the motorcycle, because this is the first time they actually meet is whenever he walks into her in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just a really awkward scene, honestly.
Well, no, because it's like the whole scene's in the arcade. Is that?
No. She's at the apartment still, and then he's going to go to the bathroom, and he just.
Oh, you talking about those two? I thought you were talking about Li Kongsheng. Okay, I see what you're saying.
No,
yeah,
they
you should mention too, though,
that
Li Kongsheng, his dad's like talking about like, oh, we can go to the movies tonight. Like he's like trying
I actually was.
He's like attempting, it's like a last ledge attempt to form a bond, basically, with him.
No, to me, this is actually an important part of the movie, like this movie, because like this whole because there's a similar scene in The 400 Blows, where like it's just in the midst of their problems. It's almost like used as a cover. They're like, "Hey, let's just go to the movies."
Yes.
And it's like feeling really like like a great kind of like family scene. Like they have no problems and they have a fun time at the movies. And Truffaut's kind of making a point about like what movies can do to help or hurt a family depending on how you look at it. Basically, they can be both. But
I'm very glad you mentioned The 400 Blows because he has that on his sound list as well. We didn't mention.
Oh yeah, and What Time Is It There is literally
he's because didn't he say? I saw in an interview he said like. What drew him to The 400 Blows is like the sadness, like the loneliness around the character, even though it wasn't like immediately in your face, you could just like tell, like it was a feeling or something similar to that. But
No, but to me, like, that's why when the dad asked that, like, I immediately thought of the former blow. I was like, okay, well, I wonder if he's gonna take this because I forgot what happens. And so and then immediately this whole scene happens where, like, you're saying, like, the James Dean moment, like where he sees him as a hero, breaks the window, and then the dad's like, I don't feel like going to the movies anymore. And it's all like in the span of like maybe 5 minutes or something. But it's like, to me, it's like almost like. Tsai is almost like the next step from Truffaut's. Like, Truffaut even shows the family going to the movies and stuff, and then Tsai's like, no, you don't even get to go to the movies. Like, it's even more realistic. You know, like almost like this character doesn't even get to go to the movies kind of thing. Like, this is how much like life is like, or at least how he feels life is beating down on him.
Yeah,
know,
but I don't know. I kind of think this also goes into him thinking of Azu as a hero because I don't think he wanted to go to the movies with his dad. So,
oh, you think so? I don't know.
Their relationship is real bad, which we'll get into soon. Obviously,
you think it's more just the dad like being like?
No, the dad's trying to get closer to the son. He's trying to do that throughout this whole movie until like the breaking point. Obviously,
that is what I like about Li Kang-sheng's character is. You could honestly read him either way at certain points because he never reacts either way. It's like his dad's like, "You want to go to the movies?" Like, no reaction really. And then his dad's like, "We're not going to the movies anymore." No reaction really.
Exactly.
You know? So you can see it either way. Like he wanted to go and now is not excited, or both ways.
Imagine if Bresson got his hands on Li Kang-sheng.
I mean, that's literally the Bresson thing, though. That's why. Yeah. So you can read into yourself that aspect of what you want to read into it. You know, especially in the main character. But yeah. Damn, that's why I like that. I like that little moment too. I was like, why would the dad just want to go to the movies? You know, you can tell he's trying to reach out. Like he's using movies as a way to reach out, but it seems like too late in this movie at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yes, but the like scene directly after this is the Buddhist ceremony for that little kid. Do you remember this one? Like, I wish I knew more about Buddhist ceremonies because I feel like he's definitely trying to say something with what this Buddhist ceremony is.
Isn't it? Well, I don't know what the ceremony actually is. All I remember is the mom coming home.
Yeah, coming home and
that's
saying.
The point. I don't know what this actually meant in that.
Yeah, because like it is it's used as the vassal for her to come home and say she thinks that
the priestess just told her about the young our son's
reincarnation, young god.
Which I love. Like what I like about Tsai too is he is a little more direct than Bresson. Like Bresson's a little more indirect at certain moments. Like Tsai's more like, but he's almost like he's direct, but he never says it. You know, it's like. You know, like the water clogging the floor is like a very direct metaphor, but he never mentions it. It's just like it's just there. It's
the
like
characters
very direct. You know, it's like
the characters don't say anything about it.
They're very just nonchalant about it too. Yeah. Exactly, which furthers that point of like it's obvious like the water could also represent just like overall like how the modernization, stagnation, a lot of ways. But it's like a very direct metaphor and that's I think why it makes it so expansive in some ways. But there's a lot of moments in like that, like we're going to talk about in the next movie with Vive L'Amour, but like just the opening shot of the key in the door from close up. It just like once you know about the whole movie, like that shot just makes so much sense.
It does,
but it's like I'm excited to watch the ones I haven't seen because these are the two I have seen already. But
you've only seen these two in Journey of the West.
No, Goodbye Dragon Inn. You see Goodbye Dragon Inn?
Oh yeah,
you gave it 3 stars.
Yeah, no, that one I
yeah. Rough.
Oh, good.
You better change that.
That's on the.
That one was slow. I remember thinking that.
Okay, it's great though.
That one was slow.
Yeah.
See, you know you're using it derogatory.
Plus, I had never seen Dragon Inn too, so I need to watch Dragon Inn.
Yeah, you do need to watch Dragon Inn. Fuck. Wait, is Goodbye Dragon?
Wait, what is that? Is that next week?
No, that's the week after next week.
Okay, I got time.
I got time. You got 2 weeks.
How long is Dragon Inn?
It's like less than 2 hours.
Yeah. Goodbye Dragon is 80 something minutes.
Yeah, Goodbye Dragon is 80 minutes, but Dragon Inn's like an hour, or not an hour. It's like 2 hours.
It's not. Wait, hold on. Let me check.
It's like an hour 58. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you watched it recently.
That's acceptable.
Right.
But yeah, this. But in the scene where Kong's mom is telling her dad about, or his dad about it, like Kong is listening in. Yeah, once again, kind of another thing. Like someone's listening in on another conversation.
Well, like, maybe I was gonna mention this. I was gonna mention at some point, but maybe now, like, Li Kang-sheng in both these movies, he's very like he's a very voyeuristic character. Yes. And obviously, like, cinema's had a lot of there's been a lot of correlation between directors seeing like a voyeur and cinema itself as a voyeuristic art.
I mean, we've talked about multiple directors.
But like, Tsai is very like kind of Li Kang-sheng is almost like that kind of avatar almost for cinema itself and being like it shows you kind of a inside of a house that no other art really can. You know, like the physical body's inside of a house that or even a bathroom in Tsai's case, which most filmmakers don't really do at all. But Tsai does it all the time. It's like showing characters in bathrooms.
Oh
and stuff. So just like, And I think
That's
literally, I didn't even realize that. Like, literally, Li Kang-sheng's in a bathroom in this scene while he's spying, while he's listening on them. Like,
no, but he uses bathrooms a lot.
Yes.
That's where like a lot of people meet. Like we already said in this, that's where Quay and Zhu meet for the first time.
Yeah.
Is in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But
damn, yeah. No, and also in Vive L'Amour, they go to the bathrooms are heavy in that scene too.
They are, yeah.
They're all taking baths in that same bathtub and stuff.
they're all taking baths in the same bathtub. They get run out.
They're like hiding from each other in the bathroom.
One of the funniest scenes is whenever he's like just took a bath.
Oh, and he
and
falls.
Then he hears it and he slips and falls. It's just like it's so
that
good.
fall sounds
It sounded like it hurts so bad.
I wonder if that was actually planned though. Like,
I don't know if it was.
Like,
It
that'd be
looked
funny.
like he just like actually fell.
Oh my god! It's like, how are you like willingly going to do that? Like, I guess for Psy you do anything, but like,
Exactly.
oh my god. Oh yeah. But anyway, yeah.
No, but like the reason I brought up like him listening is first off like it's just showing his voyeuristic nature, but then he like goes, he kind of does the same thing he does later on whenever like he succeeded in vandalizing the bike or making Azu realize him. Basically, is like he knows that his parents are kind of like maybe even realizing him for the first time this moment. So he's like going crazy here too. Like he starts going crazy. He starts acting crazy.
Acting crazy. That's why. Okay, to me this is him like showing he has a funny side. At least he has some personality. Because like to me he's just trying to freak out his mom.
He's making fun of her.
Yeah, he's making fun of her. Like there's to me a couple things came to my head. Like one of them was because his mom is just like giving this impassioned speech about how their son could be the neon god. Like she's having to religion, and the dad's like, stop like bullshitting me with all this, like all this bullshit, like kind of making fun of her about it, and then almost like to show that the son is almost like the father in some ways. Like it's like his version. Like this is like Li Kang-sheng's version of making fun of the mom too, or making fun of religion in general too. Just like coming out and making fun of her at the same time. But that's why to me it was like almost showing like the father and the son are kind of similar in some ways.
They are, yeah.
It's usually like that.
No, I'm pretty sure that's what the mom said in the, or that's one of the reasons that the dad in the myth hates the son.
Oh, in the story too. Yeah.
Because that's like the huge thing of like why she thinks.
Do you know anything about the Neon God story or anything? Or
no,
I want to know what that.
Fire name.
It is.
Like if I was a god,
Neon and it fits just the neon lights of like a Taipei at the time, like in the 90s and stuff.
No,
or, you could read Rebels of the Neon God, like Rebels of the Neon, like modernization, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's a.
I think that's what he's going for, but
yeah. Like that, but it's so cool, like calling like modernization like in Taipei, like.
But to me, this is what I would. This is why it's kind of ironic. Like the title's Rebels to the Neon God, but to me, it's almost like they're not rebels. Like to me, they do worship the Neon God in some ways, but the Neon God is like the arcade games or like this kind of just the stimulation of modernity. You know, like to me, these characters don't seem like they're out of it. You know, they seem like they're very much inside this kind of neon world.
They're stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck.
Well, maybe that's why, like, maybe the Rebels specifically is talking about them turning to criminal activities for doing that. But that, but I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You could be read that way.
Because it is like there is one moment with the.
Well, I think it's just like he's like the mischievous god or something. Because like that's what like Kong like writes on the side of the street whenever he vandalized the motorcycle, like Netza was here, which is the neon god, which that's first off him saying that, but also he's just like an agent of chaos. So, and that's kind of what they play in the movie is like they're kind of agents of chaos, or trying to be. They're bad at it, but
I mean the James Dean Rebel Without a Cause.
Yes, very much. I've been thinking about Nicholas Ray on, but yeah. So yeah.
No, yeah, but then we get the second beat drop, which might be a little bit different from the first one. I don't know, but I know the score like he basically like adds on the score each time.
And there's like little changes too.
Yeah, but then we get to the skating rink scenes for the first time.
Yes,
which skating rink just like he has just the best locations in this movie. Yeah. Like it just looks so fucking good. But yeah, the boys arrive to take her to the movies, and then this is like a really funny bathroom scene again, where they're both in the bathroom, and like Ping's like, she smelled really good. Let her sit in between us. And he's like, you're trying to get leftovers again or some shit. And he's like kicking him, but
oh my god, yeah, that guy's hilarious.
No, he really is. Honestly, he's kind of he's like kind of a creep, but
it's like he's like we'll give him a pass. No, I'm trying. No,
we'll give him a pass.
He's the one that gets beat up at the end too.
So he kind of like He got the consequences of his actions, I guess.
Yeah, but then we get the after the movie. Well, these ones actually go to the movie. Like he does show us a scene in the movie theater in this one. But then after that, they go and play the $300 bet game, which I just always love this game because like the first time I watched it, I was just like actually watching like I was one of them too. You know, like going like, how the fuck did they get this thing out of the glass without touching the table, doing anything with it? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh yeah,
the game. No, because like this is just like a great party trick game that I know that I can get anyone here in America with probably because they don't watch Tsai Ming-liang. So
wait, how do you do it? How do you do it again? How do you do it?
It's just you grab two glasses, you put the dollar in, or you put
like how do you get him started? I forgot. Like,
well, he put it in, he lay them on the table, and they just blew.
Okay, yeah, he blew it.
Yeah, just used air.
Oh, that was good.
No, I just love that scene so much though. It's just another great scene of just them kind of like bonding. Yeah. But yeah, they leave drunk as shit.
Yeah.
They leave just drunk, absolutely drunk as shit.
But these are some of the best shots.
They are.
With
the construction site. Yeah.
Well, even before when they're on the motorcycle.
Oh yes.
Clearly drunk driving.
Oh yes.
Like everyone's like, and people are like honking and having to drive around them. Like, oh
dude. No, because it's so funny. They're like clearly driving drunk, and then it's a hard cut to the guy throwing up.
Yeah.
And then it's honestly maybe the best shot in the movie, or one of them, where it's like a slow pan like behind the fence while she's like, it's a really wide shot behind the fence while she's just like walking, and all of a sudden just like lays down in the middle, just goes to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, she's inside the gates.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of things in this movie are just like them being stuck, basically, or like somewhere where they feel trapped.
Inside the gates.
They feel trapped, and then there's moments where they're like, why people get drunk in the first place. Like, you still have these moments, you know, where they still feel free to some degree, you know?
Yeah.
Like, these kind of moments.
It's just another, like, high that, like, modernization wants them to chase.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you could try to say that they're trying to do is just be free. Like, Azu and Ah Ping, they're just trying to be free.
By rebelling, right?
By rebelling, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like the only thing they can control in their life. It feels like in this movie.
No, exactly.
But yeah, like after this scene, they take her to the hotel, and the first few times I watched this, I didn't think it was like really creepy. But then this time I watched it from like the perspective of the lady at the hotel.
Yeah.
And these two guys just dragging this drunk ass girl, and then they're like, "Do you have a room?" Like it's literally like you can see this as like they all three are just drunk and just had like a good time, or like they just roofied this girl.
Yeah, exactly. But they give
and they're gonna rape her or some shit.
Yeah.
But it's more like modernization doesn't care. Like as long as you're buying the room, you know.
Well, she was trying to turn them out, but then the other couple left.
Oh, okay.
And so they just took that room without getting cleaned.
I forgot how they got the room, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is because like you do think this is going to be a lot worse. Like damn, this movie's taking a rough turn. You know, we're about to watch a rape scene or something. And like, and that friend is like You don't know. Like he's obviously thinking about something.
Yes.
You know. Because it is like an awkward moment where he's in the room by himself, or the friend is in the room while after Atsu's left. No, it's a very like the first time you watch it, do you think anything's gonna happen? Did you think
I don't know if anything's gonna happen. I don't know the first I've watched this like 6 times now, so I can't really remember that far back. But I still feel like nothing was really gonna happen because he's kind of a goofball. Like you don't think he's ever actually gonna really do something, but
he's not like. You could tell he's not like just some plain evil person. Like there's obviously, I feel like Tsai doesn't have pure evil characters.
No,
but I will say
everyone's complicated. Yeah.
I will say, I said when the two cuts from the sex scenes to the arcade, I actually got it wrong. One of them was it was this one. This is one of them where they actually like they're definitely thinking about sex. Like literally, there's porn on the TV that they play, right?
Yes, there is.
Which is just
and they walk into the room and like Ah Ping's like it stinks in here.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's porn on the TV, so like they're definitely thinking about it. And then it immediately cut to them at the arcade another time. That's the one the cut, and the second cut is fine after Atsai and the girlfriend have sex for I think the first time. Is he goes to the arcade?
That's the second time.
The second time. Oh, the second time. Yeah. But either way, no, it is. I think he does emphasize it too. Just like the way he hard cuts to these arcades, like right after too.
Yeah.
Like it's for like a super dark room or something, and then all of a sudden like really bright lights on an arcade. You know, like they have to have the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously I mean, just in terms of the story, they're also scoping out the arcade, but
that's true.
Because they are,
but that's another high that they're chasing.
Exactly.
Like, you can steal it.
It's the same type of high. You can say it's the same type of high they're chasing.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's almost like the arcade wasn't enough. Basically,
yeah.
They have to go a step further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even that, like just from talking about Not Enough, going from phones to even arcade machines.
Yeah, that too,
seems like a
yeah.
step up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it just cuts to like kind of the next morning, and we get a phone call from Akwe, and she's like, "Did you guys rape me?" And he's like, "Of course not. Look at yourself," and everything like that. Like kind of just what we were saying. Like she just voiced what everyone was probably thinking whenever they first walked in there. But you can like the thing that I like about this. It's kind of a foreshadowing moment for what happens later.
Exactly. I was going to mention that because she says.
She says, "I hate being
later
left
on."
alone."
Yeah,
No,
or like that feeling of waking up in a hotel room by yourself or something like that. It's like a terrible feeling.
Yeah,
something like I forgot exactly.
No,
what
she
says.
does. She does say something like that here.
It's like almost like she's saying this kind of thing. What we're saying, like you can, like that feeling is like that feeling of absence, like to extreme almost. You know, like you're in a hotel room by yourself, but you were with someone else.
Yeah,
you know?
well, because that's also something that I forgot to mention whenever they first meet, whenever Akwe and Azu meet for the first time at the apartment and they go down. What makes him actually give her a ride is like she's like, "What street am I on?" Like she doesn't even know what street she's on.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't know where the fucking where the fuck she is,
she is,
and that's what she calls him about now. Also in this scene, like she's like, "I don't know where I am. Where am I?" Like, like she just feels stranded, and people just keep on like stranding her places basically. Yeah. But I do think like the actress did a great job in this scene because like she sounds super lonely.
Yeah.
Like extremely lonely. But yeah, after this conversation, the score starts playing again. This is the first time the drain unclogs.
Unclogs, yeah.
This is like the good. This could be definitely seen as the good times in the movie for sure.
That's what I was saying because it's like you can see there's something between those two.
Yeah.
Like maybe his luck is changing too.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what he thinks because they like at up to this point they're definitely just petty criminals and we don't know they're trying to hit the arcade yet, like and steal arcade cabinets, but. Maybe I mean like I don't know. This is the changing point where they actually try to do something bigger because it's a lot of money. like the money they were talking about, there was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the score is playing all that, we find out that Kong does get the refund back, which is like $15,000 or something like that, $15,700, and he buys an airsoft gun and starts just imitating basically James Dean or just these cool characters on TV.
Yeah, like Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, well, he points his gun at. Do I have that in here? He points his gun at a poster on his wall.
What does he?
I can't remember. This is whenever he goes back home. It's not in this specific scene. Oh wait, no. No, I can't. It might come back later, but I know that whenever he's in his room, like later on, filling up the gun, he like leans back in his chair and is pointing the gun at like a poster in his room. And I can't remember what the poster is right now. It might be in my notes whenever we get to it later, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, after he buys that, this is where he first sees them for the first time with the James Dean poster that we've already talked about, and he just kind of starts stalking them around the mall.
Yeah,
just kind of seeing what they're doing, and it's just another one of Tsai's voyeuristic tendencies, you know.
Yeah,
literally
just I love the simply James Dean shot because he doesn't cut from it at all. It's just like you can see like Li Keqiang is looking at the James Dean poster and it just looks as soon as that like the blocking of them walking by and then Li Keqiang changing his eyesight to them. It's so seamless, like, but so effective basically.
Because there's also like in this because he sees those two guys walk in.
Yeah,
and then a little later on like. There's a good shot from behind, like close up of them sitting right next to each other.
There is, yeah.
And like, yeah, I was like, this is that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because the score starts playing after this, and then it's just.
Because we get that like it's almost like this is where you kind of get the impression that he definitely like sexually attracted to him too, because it's like he sits right next to him, and like of course Tsai doesn't know who he is, but you know he's nervous, like just from a shot from behind, you know he's nervous, and then it cuts immediately to Li Keqiang in the bathroom, like washing his face. And it's like just like making that connection, like that's like basically it was his body was hot as heated as fuck right there. Very nervous, whatever you want to say there.
His body was heated.
Yeah.
No,
but then like they robbed the arcade.
No, yeah, that's what happens next. We see them playing their escape route, and it is intercut with Akwe at the skating rink because it's like she's waiting for him basically to come, and just another scene showing like her loneliness, like her just waiting there, waiting for someone that's not coming. Obviously,
and it explains her like she's like I don't like being left alone or being left stood up on a day.
Because because one of the scenes coming up immediately after this is like she because she got stood up, she just calls some random guy
Yeah,
that puts contact info in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Like, super dangerous, girl. What are you doing, man? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, there is like this, like, so many things people do just to not be alone.
Yeah.
You know, to have something else, like just to have some kind of simulation. You know, like you said, like, why are you doing that? But that's exactly why.
She's also trying. I mean, she's trying to get the attention of Azu.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
Yes, yeah. But like that feeling of she says, I don't like being stood up. I think that's why. You know, like that. Like even for a day, like a night that she doesn't want to be alone, kind of thing. There are some people like that.
No, there are a lot of people like that in this world. But So we see Kong get stuck in the arcade.
Yes.
After this, like, so it's just a really good shot because he sees them go into the bathroom and not come back out, and so he's just still in the arcade, and it's like
he like takes the hard way out of like trying to hide from like.
This reminds me of Modern Times when they get
dude, honestly,
the mall and they run out the next morning.
Yeah, no, there's some scenes in Vive L'Amour where I specifically wrote down that it felt like a silent comedy gag.
Well, we do know Tsai loves Chaplin though,
yes,
too, which we'll talk about.
Why?
He has a Limelight score in a few of his movies.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, damn.
A few of the movies?
I think he has it in a couple, yeah.
I know he has in Days. He has on the jukebox, but I don't know.
I want to say he has it also. It was in the book I was reading because I think she said it was in I Don't Sleep Alone. Or I Don't Want to Sleep Alone. That's also in that.
We're doing that next week?
We're not doing that movie. So
we're not?
No, it's one of the. It's like I think it's the only feature we're not going to be able to get to. Because I think he only has 11 features, and we can only do 10. Yeah. So, but yeah, the escape route, like they get out, he doesn't, and he's just literally left sitting there, like just. And the best part about this specific scene is like. Tsai just sets his camera up like in the top corner of like the arcade, and it's just letting Li Kongsheng freak out.
Yeah,
because he's literally just kind of freaking out that he's stuck in this arcade.
Just the way he's like pushing on the door,
he goes over and tries to lift it. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like you're trapped.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna sleep here.
And just another instance of someone being trapped in a place they don't want to be, apparently. So
yeah, damn.
But yeah, after that, Kong's father goes to the cram school and figures out that he had stolen the money, basically, or like he had gotten the refund. And this is what causes his huge blow up. Like he calls the mom and everything at her work and says, like, "Do you know what your son did?" He doesn't even say his son. He says, "Do you know what your son did?" Like, but I mean, anything from that? I just like it. It's just showing from just still showing the dad and son's continuing deterioration. But
we haven't talked about the dad as much, but he is like a main character in this because and we talked about this a little earlier, but like there is a kind of a like these two to me this movie is like kind of like two storylines. It's like Li Kangsheng and his dad, and then the separate storyline is Tsai and the girlfriend or the girl. What's her name?
It's Akwe.
Okay, those two. And then like Li Kangsheng is kind of like if you see like he's like the voyeuristic character that kind of connects the two, but they don't really touch that much. Like their storylines don't touch that much. But there is one other instance where like the father at the end when he's like dropping off the kids after they're beaten up and they're going home, like he sees them and then immediately after that's when he decides to like open the door for his house. He just cracks open the door, like kind of like signifying like he's learned something from this situation too.
Yes,
almost.
He has.
You know, like he's been watching the film too, almost in some ways. You know, like it's a weird moment, like where like he learns the lesson that we've learned as watching the movie. Almost like you should watch. Like you don't want Li Kangsheng to end up like these two kids. You know, kind of thing. Because
like the kids he's idolizing.
Yes, exactly, and the kids that he just helped at the end.
Yeah,
you know. It's like a weird. There's like multiple levels to the movie, honestly. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Like the father, that's why I think he's an important character in this because there's no parents in the next one.
No, she's the mom. The mom is.
Oh
the
cafe. Wait.
The mom works at the cafe.
Yeah,
but she's not his mom in the movie, though, is she?
That's what I was saying. That's why I wanted you guys to keep your eye on because
saying,
like, these are all
okay. There's no direct parents in the movie though, or anything, right?
Well, it doesn't explicitly say, but it does know that they have some familiarity with each other. So they don't say anything about them.
So you actually think they're related, like his mom in the movie?
Yeah. Because I think in all the movies that we see from here on out, it's basically the same characters playing the same characters. So like they all have the same name and they're the same characters. I'm pretty sure.
And the reason I thought that anyway is because I read the Tsai interview he did with Nick Pinkerton, and I'll just read the quote because it's not that long. quote, "After I finished filming Rebels of the Neon God, my father passed away. How I wished he could have seen a film I directed. How I wished I could have understand him, be close to him, and even hug him. It's as if I projected this yearning onto the worlds of my films, and in particular Li Kang-shang's character of Hao Kang, with increasing intensity. In turn, gradually our real lives seem to reflect and materialize the worlds of the films." And to me, that's why it's like, you can almost see, like, the father in this one, like, as he's filming it, it's almost like maybe he's thinking of his own father, like, just like his father's alive, you know, and then maybe in the other ones, like, the parents' absence is like more present in some ways.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be looking for that too, because even that quote made me think of that.
There's a moment where, do you know what I'm talking about? What I'm referring to? When I don't want to say it out loud because Danny has.
Well, I was just gonna say one of the movies actually specifically deals with a parent's death.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah,
which we'll get to in a couple weeks. It's not next week, but it's the week after. So I'm pretty sure. It's what time.
It's that or Wayward Cloud. Maybe?
It's not Wayward Cloud.
Is it not Wayward Cloud? I guess there's.
I'm like not.
I mean, 99%. It would be weird to cut from the
watermelon
sex to that. Maybe.
I'm 99% sure it's what time is it there, because I can't wait to get to the episode, because there's one specific shot that happens at the very end of the movie that might be my favorite shot in any Tsai movie ever. So, which we'll get to.
Really?
Yes, I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
But I won't show it to Danny since he hasn't seen it.
We'll get to it.
But I mean, yeah, no, it's one of the best. But yeah, we're back at the skating rink. This is actually where we see Li Kang-shang actually skating on the rink, which is some of the best shots in the movie. But it's also where he sees Aquay doesn't see her for the first time, but like actually talks to her for the first time, and she's on the phone with the guy.
Like, he's barely touching. That's what I was saying. Like, these storylines barely touch.
Yeah,
in certain moments they do, but that's it.
They kind of scrape past each other.
Yeah, but the one scene that he actually talks to her and could be listening in our conversation is the scene that she's calling that other guy.
Exactly. Damn. Yeah. She's not even talking to the guy that he like idolizes.
Yeah. Yeah, but this leads to this conversation with that guy is what leads to the next scenes of their fight basically on the sidewalk. Yeah. Of him trying to like just riding after her on the motorcycle. They're just having fights about like what the movie is about loneliness. It's like she doesn't like feeling of waking up in the middle of the night and no one's there, you know.
But I also think the opposite is true. Like, it's kind of both. The feeling of loneliness, but also the opposite feeling can feel good of like the feeling of being chased.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, because the scene ends with them together.
Yes.
Like,
this is the first time they
have sex. Exactly. The first, yeah. So it's kind of both. Like, we get this like feeling of she doesn't want to be alone and stuff, but then it ends with them together at the end of it.
Yeah.
And do you think it's significant? Like, this is why you could see as Li Kang-shang being jealous of them, or of him specifically, because, or of her maybe, depending on how you want to read it, because he destroys their motorcycle like while they're in the hotel room together. Yeah. And like, do you think he knows that they're together as he's doing this?
Yeah, he saw.
Does he see them together? Like,
actually, I know that.
That's why I don't know if he ever sees them.
He
together.
sees them right off. Or he sees him right off and trying to chase her, but I think that because like
he
does pass them.
Yes, he does. He watches them fight.
Yeah.
And
then he just drives off before seeing the like conclusion. So it could be. I'm pretty sure he drives.
He's almost like seeing it kind of like, and that connects to the final scene with them too. Like I could see that being like continuation of like he sees that moment and then kind of projects like a James Dean movie to that moment and being like, okay, that's how this kind of situation would end, because he's like the James Dean character.
I like that. So like this whole sex scene is in his head.
Yeah,
as he's destroying the motorcycle, kind of
like and like that. He it starts that projection from the beginning when he's on the motorcycle, and then he sees that as the next kind of like connection to it, and then.
So why does he destroy the motorcycle if that's like in his head?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I think it's interesting because like maybe I still think it's the main thing is because he wanted. He wanted to affect his life in some way because he was in love or idolized him, because we didn't even talk about like when he destroys the motorcycle, he specifically intentionally asked him if he needs any help afterwards.
Yes, I was going to mention that too. Yes, because you could also read it as he destroys the motorcycle so he can offer that help.
Yes,
and that's what I was going to say. Like, I think we're going to have a break between these two episodes, so I was going to play that part where the score to me like it has this one moment of. Like, it actually increases a lot. It gets faster. And it's during that moment where he's going to ask
and then, like,
I'd say for help, because you think it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the moment, you know, like
and as soon as he starts talking, the music stops, doesn't it?
and
Yeah.
it's like,
No,
okay,
it fades
fuck,
out,
it
but
fades
yeah.
out,
Fades
and he's
out,
like,
okay.
I don't want your help, and then the movie, it's like that's
It's
it.
the-
That's
it's
what I'm
the-
saying. These
yeah.
storylines just touch, like even in the moment you think they're going to intersect, like okay, this is what it's leading up to.
Yeah, because like
no,
I just remember when I first
when
when I first was watching this movie, when I read like the synopsis, I was like, okay, so they're gonna have like a relationship with each other. They'd be like.
Well, they
Friends
do.
or rivals.
That,
But like,
that's
I thought like in the
in
physical
some way they
sense,
do.
like,
But yeah, no.
like,
but
but
yes,
I was surprised because like I was like this whole time like, hey, damn, they're not like
Yeah.
not even like really interacting with each other at all.
Yeah.
And then finally this one, I was like, oh shit, this is where it's
This is
gonna
what-
start.
yeah.
And then
that's what the score literally increases too.
Yeah.
Like it's tricking you in that way too.
Yeah, I just remember that from my first time watching it, but.
I don't know how we got to that. Like,
No, I mean we're
basically
right there
there,
anyway.
okay,
no,
okay.
yeah, we're right there.
Okay, yeah.
So
uh,
no, I did want to mention that the sex scene in the hotel room, it is like this. I mean, it's not as obvious as it is in Vive L'Amour, but it is still filmed from a female gaze for sure, or at the very least a neutral gaze. Because
I think that's fair too.
it's like not. It's definitely not from the male gaze because
Yeah.
it's filming him like her with him more so than it's filming like him.
I think I
basically.
agree with the fact that like it's not neither a male or female gaze.
Yeah, it's
we'll
like
talk about
neutral.
Vive L'Amour where he doesn't even show.
Oh,
Yeah, he doesn't even
Vive
show the
L'Amour
sex.
is definitely a female gaze.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay, we'll
I
talk
think
about
so.
it.
Yes.
I think so
It
because
is definitely a female gaze
Yeah.
to me.
yeah,
Because I was thinking the
at
shot.
least more
of-
so. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I was thinking the shot like of him under the bed.
That's definitely
And you don't even see the sex happen. You just hear it.
yeah. That's.
Do you think that's female gaze?
female
Okay, I don't
gaze
really
to me,
know.
yeah.
Anyway,
We'll get to that, I guess.
No, yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, we already talked about him taking the motorcycle and everything like that. But this is basically what
Yeah.
leads to
Also,
them needing
yeah.
money, I would assume, and that's why they're going to sell the. I was assuming that. What
Yeah,
were you going to say?
I would say we should mention the moment where he's jumping up and down excited when he sees them see the motorcycle and he bumps his head. That was
yes.
hilarious.
No,
We
that's
should mention Tsai
hilarious.
has a great sense of humor.
He does have an
Yes,
amazing
he's-
sense of humor.
Yeah, but yeah,
No, but I mean, I guess we should mention like how she wakes up because like you saying him going to the arcade for more stimulation, I agree with that. But at the same time, I think it's just him not wanting to get any closer to her for fear of like it's this thing of like you're afraid to be lonely, but you're also afraid of connecting with people.
Yes.
Like that's kind of what his character to me is.
Well,
Almost.
to me, like I think it's almost like both. Like the reason why that he wanted to be with her was just for that stimulation. So once it's over, like he doesn't want true connection, right? It's only the stimulation.
or he's
that
scared.
they're
I think he wants true connection, but he's
okay.
scared of true connection.
Yeah.
so.
All right. Yeah.
Because he obviously wants true connection because that's how the movie ends, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
At least in my opinion, he wants true connection, but he's scared of it, especially
Yeah,
at
so
this
then he
point.
just
he doesn't want to be
leaves right away.
emotionally vulnerable. He wants to keep up an act.
Yeah.
basically, which kind of that act he wants to keep up is like kind of what ties his character and Vive L'Amour. Like that's what connects those two. But anyway,
Yeah, but whenever he finds his bike vandalized, this is at least to me what them selling the arcade cabinets like. It leads to that because, in my opinion, they were probably wanting to wait on these for a sec because they literally just stole them the night before
Yeah.
and already selling them.
Yeah.
So it kind of implies that they're needing money because he obviously needs money
They
for a
need
motorcycle.
Money. They need money. This whole it's like this
Yes.
whole movie is
This
implying
whole
that they
movie
need
is
money.
implying
Like
they need
just
money.
his floor of his
And-
apartment.
Yes, but that's just. I mean, the motorcycle getting like wrecked is just like even worse.
Yeah,
like it's just like you're taking someone like the one thing they actually have in this world, and, like and like destroying it.
Yeah.
So they need money even more. But yeah, this is basically where they go to sell the arcade cabinets and get caught.
yeah.
Essentially, because they're honestly dumbasses. But I mean, they are like we can say that like they're definitely dumbasses. Like
Yeah, and also, we should mention it's actually motherboards. I'm pretty sure of the arcade.
yeah, the motherboards. Yeah, the motherboard out of the arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah, but
No.
Ryan makes sense honestly. Like,
But I mean, it leads to them getting their asses kicked, or at least Shopping get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like I know Azu definitely has some
Azu
scrapes
gets
on his
away.
forehead.
I
but-
will say though, there is a little. It's maybe like just like Sai's kind of irony, or you can see it as funny too, but it's like almost like sad funny because the friend is like, it's like right before they go to sell the memory boards, the friend's like, maybe we should go. Let's go worship the young god tomorrow.
yeah.
And then Azu's like, shut up, like he's like just
Yeah.
like that's stupid. But then the way he gets away is he runs to the temple, or anyway, that's how Sai cuts to a shot of the
Yeah,
temple of
he
Atsu
does,
running
yeah.
away. Like that's where he hid basically.
yeah.
And the other friend gets beat up because he doesn't get to the temple in time, basically, which is kind of just like a sad moment too. Like, damn, that's how he got away. Basically, he's going to the temple. What
He's going to the
he
temple.
he just said he didn't want to go to.
Yeah, honestly.
No, I didn't make that connection. That he was
I
running
want,
to the
and
temple,
because to
so-
me it was like I wonder if he worshipped the young god that night. Because he comes back out there to
yeah.
help him later, like after the friend is like like laying there, like almost dead.
And then maybe that's another like interpretation of the Rebels of the Neon God too.
Yeah,
the title,
yeah. Honestly, damn. Yeah, because yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but then after that, I mean, they get driven home by Kong's father, like we've already discussed. The apartment's flooding again whenever they get back, obviously. Quay comes, she does come by the apartments as well, because, and I don't know why, she came over to like, I'm pretty sure just have a heart to heart with him about like being left in the hotel room.
Yeah.
But he really wants her, like, after she's done like talking, he basically says, "Can you do one thing for me? Essentially, can you give like Opping a hug?" Because that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted. He wanted a hug from a woman.
Yeah.
Which is honestly really sad. But
Yeah.
Because like
This is what I was saying.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying. Like, there's a couple things. It reminded me of first, because I just rewatched this Armored of Uncle Tio when he's like yelling for the woman in the tree.
Okay, yeah.
And you're like, it's kind of sad, but you're like, it kind of makes sense too. Like it's just like it's like damn, you just get it.
Yeah.
But and like that's what this reminded me of. But then also in this moment, it's like, because she says something like, "Should we just give up?"
Yeah.
And he doesn't say anything. And then she's like, "All right, fine, I'm just gonna leave." And then you think he's gonna call her back, and he's like, "Wait, can you give him Opping a hug, or can you give his friend a hug, basically?" And so you think he's kind of like just giving up on her. And then he gives her the hug, and then that's when she's walking out, and then he goes back and gets her, and then that's when this like
that's like
this
the
kind of resolution.
That's like the
maybe a hopeful
melodramatic.
ending.
Yeah, that's like the melodramatic like Hollywood.
Yes,
and, like,
with the
James
water
Dean
also
ending.
coming
Yes.
over them too.
Yeah, that's literally what it looks
Which-
like. It's so crazy to me how he does that shot. It looks so good.
No, because it is like you would think this is their good luck Hollywood ending, but then why is it? Because it is also significant that she comes and the water clogs again.
Yes,
in this moment, he shows a close up of the water clogging again after it's been unclogged.
Maybe
So like,
maybe
why would he have the water clogging and almost like drowning them if this is like their hopeful moment?
Well, because
it's kind of like it's still like signifying like they're still trapped in there.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
kind of
It's like a false hope, maybe.
But like,
Maybe not, though.
if we're looking at through the lens of like Li Yingxing imagining that moment, like that could just be like the reality of it conflicting with like the very like like melodramatic like dream of it or just imagining of it.
Well, I mean, it is really sad because like after he gives her the kiss, like she says like we should leave, and he says like where would they go?
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what I mean. Obviously, kind of like what the water means in this one. It's kind of like they're stuck, they're stagnant.
Yeah.
At least that's what that's literally.
I think that's a good point with this water too in this one.
Yeah, because especially that last shot of the water engulf, like it doesn't engulf them. It just is stagnant water. Like it's stagnant water and they're reflected in it. But it's shot and the lighting hits it in such a way where it looks for a second before you realize it's just a reflection. It looks like it's water like coming over the screen.
And that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, is he actually using a special effect or something? That's a cool shot.
And then you see and then you realize you're looking at a reflection. And oh man, it's just the shots of the floating apartment they're just so good. But it does.
Well, we should talk about the last shot.
No, a lot of people would think that's where the movie would maybe end, but it goes to Kong working at a phone sex operator basically, and I don't know. Like this ending's really cool to me because like you see, it's like one of the parts in this movie of like where the diajack sound just goes like off the rails. Yeah. Basically, because the phone is just like going insane.
It's loud. And then you hear them all and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, you hear them all whenever it goes to that, and then you just go straight outside, just like the lights blinking.
Yeah.
And then you see the lights blinking basically in unison with the score as the movie ends.
Yeah. Well, because he cuts the city too.
Yeah,
from the phones, and then like to me, this is like Bresson has done this once. Rosling's done this a couple of times, from what I'm remembering. Where in this one. He's like, it's a shot of the city, and then he like pans up to the sky, and he just like hangs on the sky for a while, and then he cuts. I just love shots like I just love when filmmakers have like movies on the sky too. But like to what they mean, like you could say they mean the same thing or different things. Like I was going to ask you, like, what do you think? Why does he end this on the sky?
I still don't know why he ends it on the sky.
Well, I think he's just. I think what I kind of read about this scene, I kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, is like so he's obviously contrasting like. What's his name? I'd say
Azu.
Azu's moment with Li Yingxing, kind of like okay, Azu gets the bad boy James Dean ending, and then Li Yingxing gets like he's like too scared to pick up the phone, like. But I feel like the shots of the city and then the sky is like kind of showing how trapped they are, like the magnitude of it in a way.
Yeah.
Because like they're almost like engulfed by the city. I feel like that's kind of what he's implying.
But do you see it
yeah.
as he's too scared to pick up that phone?
Yes, he's too scared of
To me, I almost thought the other way. Like it's like almost like a maybe not, but I saw it as almost like a hopeful thing. Like he doesn't like take that job. I don't know. Like
I
don't see it as hopeful or as like he's. I mean,
maybe not hopeful, but I was like, I don't see it as like he was too scared to not pick it up. I don't know.
Just like too afraid of just
I think it's more so that it's just more like he's too afraid of connecting with anyone. Even like whenever he's getting hired to do it, like he can't do it. Basically.
But see, would that be connection though? Even if you had picked up that phone,
it'd be a connection in some way.
Would it?
Yeah.
See, to me, that's why I say hopeful. Because to me, even if you hadn't talked on it, that's why. Like to me, it's like him rejecting that like fake connection. You know?
No, it could definitely.
And that's why to me the shot from the city to the sky is almost like that too. Like it's like a shot of the city and all the cars and everything.
Yeah.
And then it's like almost the exact opposite, just like a clear sky. It's like two exact opposite right next to each other.
Yeah, I don't know because like my mind went darker with that the ending just because it's like the next movie we'll see and we'll talk about this very soon after the break. But there's this scene of juxtaposition in that one where Mei and Ah Young are like cruising down the sidewalk basically like he's basically hunting her for love, or like they're doing just like it's a little game of like trying to have like cat and mouse of trying to have sex, but it's intercut with Lee Kong Shin trying to commit suicide, or like half-heartedly committing suicide. But like that's well, it is. He does cut himself, but like I don't know if that's kind of where my mind went with the sky this time. At least is like they feel so trapped in the city that the only way to escape is
that's what I was kind of getting at.
And, like I don't know.
I mean, to me, and that's it's crazy. Maybe we can. I know we're going to take a break, but Mouchette. That's why you need to watch Mouchette. But without giving too much away, it has a very similar kind of ending to that. And you can read it either way. Like you can see that escape. You're saying like the only way to escape is to the sky as negative or positive, right?
Yeah.
And
we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in Vive L'Amour too.
Yeah, and this is why. I talked about this Ozu too, but definitely with Tsai, like death is always thought of usually as a bad thing. It's not necessarily in Buddhism, right? Where maybe just making you more open to things as they are. I don't know. That's interesting. Like to me, I didn't see this ending as negative. That's why I'm curious. I'm surprised you guys saw it as negative, but.
I do like the rejecting modernity thing, though.
Yeah, that's why to me it's like it literally does pan up like away,
it does,
you know, from the city.
No, it definitely does.
And in the same way, like the phone. And maybe this is just something that came to my head. Maybe you guys, if anything comes to your head, because remember the movie we did recently that also has a phone sex talk operation is Paris, Texas.
I was thinking Shortcuts. But...
Oh, Shortcuts too. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
But to me, I was thinking Paris, Texas, literally showing the phone booth stuff too. Like this idea of like false connection, you know, like connection as transaction. I don't know, like.
Well, yeah, that's literally what Shortcuts is.
Yeah. Because I think like one of the main things with modernity is like turning everything into a transaction. You know, and like still trying to treat it as real, but like that's just one of my like. I think this movie does a good job of that.
No, it does, definitely does. But that's Rebels and the Young Gods.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll go ahead and take a break, but we'll be right back with Vive L'Amour. Back from the break with Vive L'Amour. So before we actually get into the movie, let me ask you guys what are your overall thoughts on it? How many times have you guys seen it at this point?
This is my second time watching it. First time watching it. Well, first time watching it, like it's fine rewatching it because I think I probably already mentioned this on the podcast already, but like first time watching, I was like, damn, this is like really slow.
Yeah.
Like it's like a shock coming from Rebels, which I still loved it, but like what stood out immediately. And this time, like having watched like a lot of watching all sides other movies and like watching other like slow cinema directors, like it's definitely like you could tell it's like not even it feels very fast paced now, like or faster paced now, like
Yeah.
I'm very much just but like Vive L'Amour I love. Like I'm gonna go out and say this. Okay, Rebels of the Neon God and Vive L'Amour, both masterpieces. I think I like Vive L'Amour a little bit better.
Yeah.
Than Rebels.
Is there a reason for that?
It's more just like Vive L'Amour just kind of affects me on an emotional level that like few movies do. Compared, but like I still love like it's not a distant Rebels. It's just how good Vive L'Amour is. Like that's kind of.
I was asking if there's maybe something struck formally or something. Maybe like.
I mean, there's maybe yeah. We'll talk about what. Yeah, there is
movies,
like. We'll get into it when we talk about. I'll probably bring some stuff up that contributes to that. But yeah, like Vive L'Amour. It's a movie that's like. Of course, it's tackling loneliness and like what is any connection just doesn't mean just because two people have a relationship doesn't mean they're truly connected, you know, like especially in modern society. Yeah. But what struck me about Vive L'Amour especially this time was like it isn't all like doom and gloom. Like I think Tsai does find beauty in some of these moments, which and it like kind of connects to the title too. Yeah, Long Live Love, like and specifically the scene towards the end where Li Kang-shen leans in for like a half kiss, basically, to the sleeping.
Yes.
What's his name?
Azu.
It's
this one.
It's very. It's the most. That scene's more intimate than any of the sex scenes we've seen, at all. That scene is that moment's more intimate than any of those. But it's like a bittersweet kind of thing where it's like. It's so intimate, it's so beautiful, but it's like at the same time, it's like it's a one-sided love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly don't know if it's one-sided. This is my third time watching it, so I don't know if it's one-sided anymore. Okay. But because like one reason I say that is, he never tells May his name, like the girl. He never tells her his name. Like they don't know each other's names, even though they've had sex twice. And by the end of the day, he does ask Kong what his name is, and then they exchange names. And then also, whenever that last sex scene, like whenever she leaves and starts that legendary walk,
honestly,
he does wake up.
Walk to greatness.
He does wake up. Like he wakes up and puts the coat more over him, so you can definitely say he just fell asleep again because it obviously happens all the time. But he also flips over whenever Li Kang-shen lays on the bed and like puts his arm on him.
He does.
He does know. He knows that May left already. So like. I don't know.
I think it's both ways.
I think it
like what I'm talking about.
And it's also the turning point in the movie where if it's your first time watching it, like all the sex scenes, you're thinking, like, oh, Kong wants to have sex with May.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking of this from like a straight point of view.
Okay.
But then at the end, it's kind of showing that Kong was not attracted to May at all. He was attracted to Ajun. Like that's who he's actually wanted to be with this whole time. Because he decides to lay down next to the bed and kiss him.
Yes.
To me, this is my second time watching it, but the first time I said I liked it more Rebels. To me, it's more like he would have been okay with either one of them.
Well,
that's how I read this.
For sure.
It's more like he was like he would have like to me, watching that last scene where he kisses. Is it Chen? His name in the movie?
I think his name's Ajun.
Ajun in the movie. Okay. Yeah. Either way, when he kisses him, like to me, like I even put in my notes, it was like to me he would have kissed either person in that bed.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, like he was. It's like almost like this feeling of like loneliness, like was for him. That in that moment was like conquered just by both of them in that bed. You know, while he was under there. You know, like that's why like I don't think it's straightforward. Like he was sexually attracted to one or the other. You know, like that's why
it's very like
it's almost like that loneliness comes first. You know, like in a weird way. And that's why, like,
he's striving for a connection of any kind.
Yes, like exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's not necessarily like he was after one or the other.
No,
you know, it's almost like because it is her room, and he knows that too. And
it's actually none of their rooms.
Yeah, it's actually
none. Well, yeah, that's a good point. It's honestly crazy. A lot of times in the movie where it makes you think that, like,
and what's so good too. Not only is it their room, but there's no like furniture. Decorations of any kind. There's no sheets. Everything's stripped down.
I love how the bed is shot, though.
Like, he shoots the bed. This is like a massage room, too. Like the bare essentials in a room. Like,
dude, like, there's a poster on Letterboxd of Vive L'Amour that I use that plays on that. Like, the color of the mattress and stuff. Like, hold on.
Dude, it's just like... he shoots the bed like with this glow, like especially that last shot whenever Lee Kong-shin comes in and just looks at the bed and it's just like lit under. It just looks so good, dude.
It's like using it like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's one of the legendary shots. That's actually the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray
really?
that I have. Yeah.
No, because to me the scene I was thinking of is like it's when I'm gonna forget the names. Basically, the guy that's not Lee Kang-sheng.
Yeah, his name's Ajun.
Just say the guy. Just say the guy. Yeah.
I had the letterbox pulled up. I needed to like have his.
Just say Ajun. That's his name. That's at least the actor's name. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Ajun. No, yeah, the actor's name is Chen.
Yeah. Okay. So his name in the movie is Ajun.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Ajun. When he runs into the bathroom, that's when he falls for the first time. And basically, and so like none of them actually really know what's going on 100%. You know, in that scene, like he thinks he's hiding from her.
Yeah.
Who he thinks she walked in. He doesn't know that anyone's even in the bathroom, Lee Kang-sheng, and then she doesn't know that either of them are in the room now. So like basically none of them know what's going on really.
Yeah, that's great.
It's honestly amazing.
It's hilarious.
It's like wait, we're the only ones that know go.
Yes.
Like someone who's the observer. Damn. No, there's like a lot of little moments like that throughout the movie.
It's a very funny movie too.
It is.
There's a lot of funny moments.
No. The funniest moment for me is well, I'm just skipping ahead at this point, but I'm thinking about it now. But when he tells Ajun what his job is, he sells crematorium.
Yes.
Oh my god! And then after he's like, I can take you. It's like almost like a romantic movie scene where he's like, I can take you anywhere you want to go, and then Guardy's like, and then it cuts to them at the graveyard
it's like at the funeral house.
Yeah, at the funeral house, indoor funeral house. Oh my god, dude! I cracked up watching this stuff.
Oh my god!
I was like, damn,
it's so good.
So romantic. Yeah.
It is. No,
they both get lost in the land.
No, because we also see then we see the salesman of the guy selling the caskets,
yes.
And he's actually making a great pitch. Yeah, he's making a great pitch.
Like he's definitely like making fun of that. Like, the fact that monetization of that is like crazy. Like
no. But damn, what do you think about the movie, Plague?
I love Vive L'Amour. Like, I mean, I've seen it 3 times.
Is it one of your favorites? Like.
All these are. It's like
we're gonna force you to rank them.
It's like Luke
will
with
force
Tati.
you to rank them.
It's like Luke with Tati.
Yeah.
Like they're all my children. So. They're all my children.
Yeah,
I can't choose between one and
Right.
another. This time I did like Vive L'Amour more than Rebels.
If you had tier list, would this be in the tier 1 though?
Yeah.
Okay. Did
I'm
you
gonna say that with all of them. So.
Oh damn! All right.
Basically,
That's
you must rank them.
You must rank them. They're all in tier 1, guys. They're all great. Once you love one, you love them all. Honestly.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, it's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Like literally,
these movies.
I mean, that's why I love that Renoir quote where he says something like, "Every director's making the same movie over and over again." Because to some degree, it's like true. It's almost like just like what mood you're in, at least for certain directors, like my favorite ones anyway. That's why I can't pick that for a lot.
That's why I can't pick. There are some directors where it's easier, but like Tsai,
that's true.
Like,
but a lot of times it's like external factors, like the studio had more interference
yeah.
in certain movies or something. You know, it's like,
exactly. But like Tsai has never had that for me. Like besides, like I do need to rewatch like I Don't Sleep Alone anymore, or I Don't Want to Sleep Alone, because like that was one of the ones, that and Stray Dogs were the two that left me
that was exact same
the
thing as me.
the most distant, I should say. Like I'm hoping that's gonna change at least with Stray Dogs this time, but all the other ones I fucking just love, and that's the same with Vive L'Amour, which we'll get into, but. Like, I do want to get more into, like, just how funny the movie is. Because I literally had my notes. There was this one specific scene where... I think it's actually the one where Lee Kong-shin is like, looking, like, staring at the bed. And then he realizes that... Or, no, it might be a different one. But he's, like, walked in, stared at the bed. And then he hears her, like, May come in. And so he hides under the bed. Like, he gets all, like, scared and, like, really, like... He's trying to, like, find a place to hide. He hides under the bed. May comes, walks in, lays down, and falls asleep.
And
then he like crawls out of the bed, like because like the way Tsai shoots it is very much like Ozu, where it's just like leaving the camera there, and it's just like not setting it specifically on one person though, because like it's like you don't know where Kong's gonna come out or if he's gonna come out at all, and then you just see him like put his shoes out, and then you see him slowly crawl out, and I was like, I've literally seen this in Chaplin movies, dude. Like,
there's also Watermelon. Which is a direction to watermelon
or a melon of some kind.
Because he
is that foreshadowing for a different movie?
Yes,
like?
it is.
He uses watermelons.
I know about the scene just from you, Blake.
Yes.
But he uses watermelons a lot, not just in this and Wayward Cloud. He also has it in
watermelons a lot. Yeah.
Oh, is in The Hole? He also uses watermelons. There's like watermelons in The Hole.
I mean, they use watermelons in Rebels too, because his dad gives him all the watermelon.
Oh, yeah.
That one scene, and Kong's like, I can't eat this much.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, because I feel like there's some connection between that and the water. Because like
This
there's
was the
obviously
question I was
water
going to
stored in water.
ask.
I was like,
Is there also elevators in a lot of his movies, or is it just these two?
No, there are elevators in a lot of his movies.
Okay, because these two, they're like significant. Like,
Yeah.
they play
Oh,
almost
yeah,
like
there's a
important
very
roles.
yeah.
Like, this in Rebels, like they keep taking him to the wrong floor.
Or it opens up on the wrong floor.
Yeah. And in this one, like it's she takes the elevator a few times in this one too.
Yeah, I think they all take the elevator a few
Yeah.
times.
I'll mention it later. I feel like I wrote something in my notes about it. But have we even gotten to the movie yet?
I think we've been talking about,
yeah.
but I mean, we've already talked about the opening shot of the movie, which is the key.
well, this whole opening,
Like
we
the
should,
key-
we,
yeah,
should,
I
we should mention this whole opening because it's 23 minutes of no talking.
Yes,
But
no,
it sets
that's
up
a-
all three characters
yeah.
so perfectly. Like,
Yeah. No, that is actually something.
That's a
I also
silent
wrote in my
cinema thing
notes.
too, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's one of the things I love about Tsai, because he said that I think it was in one of the like press conferences he did for Days, that the reason he tries to have as little talking as possible is because he feels like that's the worst way to communicate with people is via talking.
damn.
So because like because the guy one of the leads in Days is where'd they shoot that at? Thailand? Singapore?
Shot in multiple places.
Damn, dude. You saying that reminds me of because I was about to post the screenshots and I forgot for LeRond. There's a quote that Opal says. One of the characters is the things people speak of most are the least real. That's basically what Tsai said. That's like
literally, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That just came out of my head when you said that.
No, yeah,
because
no,
I was
I
thinking
mean-
that's been in my head.
I mean,
too.
it's a great quote. I love that
Yeah,
Tsai
yeah.
said that too, because it's true. Like,
But to me,
silent
that's what
cinema
cinema
is-
is, and that's why
yeah.
silent cinema can be so powerful if you're willing to
Yes.
pay attention, which is kind of how we've been talking about Psy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yes.
But you have to be willing to accept that kind of new visual language. You
Yeah,
know?
he wants you to engage with his movies, and if you do, you'll
Like
get a
no
lot out of
exposition
them,
though.
so-
Like what Luke said in
Yeah.
one case. Like honestly, maybe in your film class, I don't know how deep they'll go, but like there are certain ways people are taught how to watch
Yeah,
a film
very
or how a
deep.
script should be. Is like, oh, there should be a certain part where the character like explains kind of what's going on, so the audience knows, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. You know, or like there should be some kind of exposition. But literally, there's like you said, there is a lot of exposition, but there's literally none at the same time.
Yeah,
there's
it's-
no talking. Like there's no direct exposition, but like you said, we
Yes.
get everything you need to know about all the characters.
Well, one of the
Exactly.
easiest ways for that to happen is like Psy does not shoot epic moments really. Like this stuff setting up their characters is just everyday stuff that everyone does.
Well, that's kind of something Ozu does, right? Because like he kind of, well, I guess more Ozu kind of skips over them, but it's like a similar vein. Like he's not treating like a typical big event as a big event
yes,
in a way
yes.
that makes it more.
At least from the camera's perspective,
Yeah.
it's all
Yes.
kind of the same.
Yeah, but this is more so just like he's actually just shooting them do everyday life, like just
Yeah.
stuff that people
Yeah.
always
Yes.
do in everyday life, and setting up their characters that way.
But to me, it's a little dreamy in terms of like, there's no talking at all. Like
Yes.
Dude,
everything
it's
is
amazing.
understood at a level of only cinema,
Yes.
can show where there is little cuts or lips.
And the,
like,
and the
even
sounds
those
too. There's okay.
I'm glad that you guys
I'm
picked up on this
obsessed.
too, so.
Okay, so you talked. I think you briefly mentioned earlier the scene where they're the guy and the girl are walking on the sidewalk
Yes.
and like the cat and mouse thing. But I'm so obsessed with the way the footsteps sound in that scene.
Yes,
They're
Oh,
like
yes.
so
Very
like
specific.
crisp. Like and like they it's
Very
like
specific.
each sound of the footstep has a personality to them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like you can tell the person by the
Yeah,
tone
now,
of way.
now I gotta go back and listen to
Well,
the
Yeah.
because like you're thinking of think of it like a predator stalking his prey. That's kind of like how the
Yeah,
guy is
yeah.
in this. But then you hear the footsteps and you're like, who's really stalking who?
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's not. And then you see like the sex scene later.
It's almost
the
like
next
watching
sex scene
birds
is
or
just
something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind
It's like
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
birds mate, like
And-
the scene.
yeah, I
There's
feel
no
like-
talking.
Yeah, and I think we should start talking about these characters specifically, like their characters in general, because I feel like what he wants these three characters to be is like three different types of loneliness. So like you have Li Kang Shang, who's lonely. I guess he's like incapable of expressing himself to people. Maybe I'm saying this wrong, but like he's kind of shut himself off
I see.
basically.
But there's like a loneliness from being able to express himself.
Yes, that's
Okay.
a good way to say it. And then you also have kind of the other side where it's like, what's it? The guy? I'm just gonna call him the guy.
Okay.
Azu. Yeah, he
Blake's gonna be like, it's Ajun. It's Ajun.
yeah, he's kind of like sort of on the other side of the spectrum where he's like he appears physically like, oh, he's like the cool kind of like he has everything figured out. You know, he's like taking girls home and stuff.
He's
Like,
kind of the James Dean of this one in some ways.
sort of, but then like you kind of see
He's
like
very outwardly.
Yeah,
you know?
this
one is
yes,
maybe.
very
But then
outwardly,
basically,
because
like
he has
he
to
can't.
exactly,
He's still lonely.
Yeah,
That's the whole point of it. And then like also he's not as cool as it seems because he has like this job as like this merchant.
Well,
thing on the side of the street.
he's a street vendor. Yeah,
Street
Yeah.
vendor,
Like,
illegal street vendor.
an illegal
It's
street-
actually a really good shot when they all hide.
Yeah,
Yeah, they all
it's another
like-
very
yeah.
comedy, like
Yes,
silent era
yes,
comedy
yes.
gag.
But
then-
also that they're good at it too.
Yeah, oh
Like,
yeah.
how
Yeah.
fast they do it and stuff.
Yeah, but then you have the girl who's like she's trying to please everyone. Basically, everyone kind of sees her as a transaction. Like
yes.
she's
That's
like
literally her job. Like she's a
yeah,
middleman.
to basically get stepped over the whole time
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and essentially be pleasing other people. No one really cares about her. That makes kind of what makes her lonely. Like it's 3 different types of loneliness.
But that's also like whenever you say that makes people think of like the sex scenes, and that's completely different from her character in the sex scenes, though. Because in the sex scene, she's always the one in full control.
Yeah.
Like it basically flips it.
But maybe that's her pleasing him though. Like she's the one taking initiative to like.
No,
I like Blake's. I think
really
Blake is
not.
saying like this is her time where she's in
it's-
control.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
because the first sex scene, which we're just in it now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
the
whatever.
first sex scene is like after the cruising sequence that we were talking about, where it's just full of like all that Digex on. It's just so good. But they go back to the apartment. And it's like she starts taking off the clothes. She starts taking off his clothes, and whenever he tries to start taking off hers, she like slaps his hands away, and she won't even let him kiss her. And then she takes all of her clothes off,
think-
and then
okay,
she starts pleasing him.
here's what I'm getting at, though.
It's like she's
Yeah.
taking the power
Yes.
Because like
back.
Yeah.
I
basically.
sort of see it a little differently. I get where you're coming from. I think that's a way to read it. But like I'm sort of thinking like her whole job is to give business, like sell things to people. Like she's always trying to make people feel good and like she's a salesperson.
But that's how.
and she's trying to please her customers. She's trying to basically like
She
help
is,
people,
yeah.
and that's kind of why I feel like maybe like she can't get out of that mode when she's in sex either.
But
But she has to be always the one giving.
Yeah. Well, that would
'Cause
make
that's how
more,
she is
that
in
would
real
make
life.
more sense if all 3 of them weren't the same person, kind of. Like that's at least where I'm going from. They're like 3
what do you
versions
mean by
of the
that?
same
Like-
person. Like they're all 3 selling homes, basically. Like you can actually think of it that way. Like she's selling homes. Lee Kong Shin selling urns.
Yes. Yes.
And then he's
Homes for
selling
the
dresses.
dead.
And then he's
Homes for
selling
the-
dresses, which Danny already said earlier. Like the body is like a vessel for that, like your house,
Yeah.
basically.
Damn.
And so like
That's
he's
interesting.
selling dresses, which obviously clothe the woman's body. But they're all 3 also homeless. Because they're all 3 living in the same flats, like and not realizing it basically. Like they're all 3 homeless. But
to me,
I
like
also
they're homeless
think-
in a little like those are their homes, but also they're all homeless like they're lonely. You know,
Yes,
like the homes don't
exactly.
feel full that in like that sense.
Yeah. No, but also like the sex scene I also think is just her taking back power whenever you look at it as like Tsai kind of pushing back on like regular cinema in general, because like regular cinema it would be completely flipped of the guy would be taking the girl's clothes off, like he would be doing everything. It would
Yeah.
be shot from his view. This is why I said it's not a neutral gaze to me. It's definitely a female gaze.
Especially the long shot of
her
like,
licking his nipples.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it out loud, but
Yes,
you
no,
know,
I don't care.
But to me, it's like the reason why I agree with you. Like, I think it is the movie is more from her perspective, definitely, like the female
Yes.
gaze. But I think it's still more detached generally.
yeah.
Like it just it's interesting and weird. It's like still more detached, but it's from her perspective to some degree because it's almost like the 2 guys are like there's 2 aspects of her to some degree. I don't know, like
Kind of, yeah.
they're both leeching onto her to some ways. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
they definitely are. They're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
using. I mean, it's not her apartment.
it's not
but she
hers, but they
has
think it's hers. You know,
They think it's hers.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
One of the funniest scenes that like I think we've already kind of mentioned it in this podcast at some point, but it's whenever Lee Kong Shin is in the house. I think he had just taken a bath and he was like out of the bath or whatever already, and he hears Ah Jun come home. Or no, it's the other way around. Ah Jun is in the bath, and then he hears Lee Kong Shin come home. And then, like, Ah Jun is, like, freaking out because he thinks that, like, she came back or, like, someone that actually owned the place came back. And so he, like, literally slips on the bathroom floor and everything.
Yeah, we
hides
talked
everywhere.
about this.
Yeah, we talked about this already. But then, like, Lee Kong Shin, that's the part where he's, like, starts bowling. Like, he does all the shit with the melon. And then starts eating it. But then whenever Ah Jun realizes it's not her basically, or
Yeah.
it actually he realizes it whenever like Lee Kong-shin sees him and starts to hide from him.
Yeah.
Because like the whole time like he's been hiding from him, and then like Lee Kong-shin, whenever he realizes someone's actually there, he starts hiding from them. And that's whenever the other guy realizes. But
And then he confronts him and stuff.
because he also only realizes that whenever the water's drained, because he realizes
Yeah,
and
it's
the
like
bathroom
someone else has
whenever
been
he's
here.
taking a piss.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. It's like someone else has been here too.
Yes. No, it's. I mean, this movie is just really good though, and I really like the way we're talking about it right now, because this has all basically happened in the first 23 minutes of the movie, with literally nothing, like no talking
no
at
dialogue.
all.
Well,
And
the first dialogue.
the first dialogue is actually the very beginning of the movie. It starts off with dialogue whenever you just see the key, and then in the background Lee Kong-shin's talking. To the other part,
what's like the?
Well, it's like
first after
24
that?
minutes.
Yeah,
It's
but, like-
24 minutes in.
There's
Where she's on the phone with her boss or something.
Okay.
That's what like
Okay,
starts
yes,
off,
yes,
is whenever
yes,
she
yes.
actually starts to try to sell these.
Is that when she goes into the like barren kind of like broken down place and she's on the phone? On the
Yeah,
ground?
yeah. It's what she
Is
goes
she on her
into.
with her boss? Because I thought she was talking
I
like
think
a
at
client.
first, I think at first it might be with the boss, but then it turns into a client.
Because I thought she was talking. She was
I don't
like,
know.
"It's okay that you didn't show up. Like we can meet at a different day."
That's a different part.
Oh, that's a different part?
Because I think she's scheduling the appointment this first time,
okay,
and then she
okay.
goes. Then she does go up.
The
to
guy
that
that
apartment
skips.
later. Yeah, the
The
guy
guy
that
that
skips.
misses. Because that to me, that guy that misses goes to what Luke was saying earlier about like, at least in her profession anyway, that's her role. You know, she has to please people.
Yes.
And this is kind of what Blake was saying a little earlier, but I wanted to mention this quote that I read an interview that he did about Vive L'Amour, and because the interview said he liked her perspective basically in the movie,
Yeah.
and he says, I'll just read it. It's really short. He said, "In a way, the way I've treated this female character is more like the normal treatment of a male. In other words, there's not that much difference between a men and women in the profession." I like that too. Like it's almost like he is like it is from a woman's perspective, but at the same time, it's like in the professional world, it's like the same thing. You know, she's at the end of the day, she has to sell herself. She's like literally, we watch her for a while put up signs. You know, like it's kind of degrading and stuff. And to me, like when I read that, it reminded me of your review, but also just Barbie in general. The ending of that movie, where it's like pitched literally, like it's literally what Sai is saying. It's like it's pitched as a feminist thing or a positive thing, where like her shining moment is getting the job in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Where literally like what Sai is saying is what basically makes them the same. You know, makes men and women the same, and that's like Barbie's like heroic, push at the end of the movie. But like in this one, like Sai is like almost like putting that down. Like yes, this is a movie about a woman, but like she's still she's at the end of the day she has to go through the same like modern like this modern system as the guys have to do. Yeah, you know, like it's kind of just depressing, but also like there are instances where because she's a woman, there's different things we see in the movie that you wouldn't see, you know, if it was from a male perspective. But I don't know. Like, what do you think about that? Like,
no, I mean, that's interesting. It's honestly interesting that you read that, but it is important also to remember that whenever this came out, I'm pretty sure that Taiwan was having like a housing crisis, and so like being an actual like maybe like saying like the real like just her experience as a realtor basically in general is the same everywhere because like no one was able to sell anything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman whenever
exactly.
you're trying to sell something like this. Like it just like a salesperson, it doesn't really matter what sex you are. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It depends on how the customers are feeling. So.
Especially like a profession like this, she's basically a middleman.
She's literally a middleman, and it's in times of like a recession,
crisis,
basically, like times of crisis where no one wants to buy a house.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons that she's working, I guess, as a delivery driver, too. Because I know that we see her deliver newspapers at the very end of the movie at some point, too. Mm-hmm. But, do you guys remember that scene?
I don't think I remember that shot.
I just remember that she delivered, like, some newspapers to this place.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to see it. I don't remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, it happens, like, at, like, an hour and a half left. Or an hour and a half in the movie, but...
When is the first time she goes... Because when is the first time she... goes to her apartment for the first time? It's like maybe half an hour in, or
her apartment.
Yeah, it's the same shot from the very beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Or not her apartment, I guess.
Yeah,
like
their apartment.
Yeah.
The apartment.
The apartment where she can't find her key.
Yeah,
and stuff.
No, that's probably about an hour in. That's a long way in, dude. Because like the first time she goes there is whenever she has sex with Ajun for the first time.
Oh, okay.
But then he steals the key. So like both of them,
They
because
both
both of them stole the key.
Okay.
Like he stole the key because he's able to get back in too.
Yeah.
And then Li Kangsheng obviously stole the key at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because the first time that she comes back in is
Is there a shot of Ajung stealing the key?
no, there's
I don't
never a
think so,
shot
I
of
don't
that.
think so.
Okay, because I was wondering how he got in too. Like, but I mean, that would make sense if he stole the other key or something. That
No, yeah, because I don't really remember why she goes or why she's looking for that key so much, because I know that she does kind of get like that blackmail call. At least that's how I read it. Like at least whenever you're watching it, you don't know it's Jun calling.
Yeah.
Like it seems like someone's trying to blackmail her, saying like they saw what she did in the flat with him that one time.
Yeah.
So after we find out that she was like getting those calls from Jun or whatever, we see that he's actually like a street seller of like dresses. Because Kong walks by. Like that's one of the things. Like we're not like following him. It's just like the camera's kind of there, and then we realize why it's there is because both of them are there. Basically, like there's no reason for us to be watching him here unless like both of them are there almost. Because like we see just Kong walk by and sees him, and so he goes up and like talks to him. But because they've kind of accepted that they're living together basically at this point. Yeah. Like it's kind of how it seems. But the next morning, May comes in through the door. This is the shot where she actually puts the key in, I'm pretty sure, as well. Yeah. Kind of like mimicking like how the key was taken out at the very beginning of the movie. But
this is the funny shot you were talking about.
Yeah, this is the very funny shot where like it's just Li Kangsheng upstairs. He's just kind of like walking around. And then he looks down and he sees May down there. He just starts kind of like freaking out, like, oh god, I gotta get out of here. And so he like starts running out, and then both of them actually run into each other.
So funny,
as they're trying to get out.
Funny shot.
It's a great reaction. He's like, he's like afraid.
He's so scared. Yeah,
that's something that
yes.
where it's like two guys are robbing the same thing and they both run into each other.
But like it's like he's scared for a second, and they both realize like okay, shit, we're in this
together.
together.
Like, and that kind of goes into like we're into this together though. Like
yes.
Like I think we talked about this a little bit with Melville. With Low Circle Rouge, like almost like
fate,
like literally just like this feeling of being in together with someone is like the opposite of loneliness.
Yeah,
and like you mentioned this with like how he asked his name without, but they never even asked her. He never asked her.
He never.
That kind of goes with this whole thing I'm talking about too. Like just that feeling of like being together with someone,
and they're
being
like
in a situation with someone,
and they're like little friendship feels more authentic.
It does. It's like when they're in the bathroom, like.
Or just when they're in the car too.
Yeah, in the car too.
Well, no, just like the bathroom scene is the next scene, like where they're just getting ready in the the convenience bathroom,
and they're
smoking.
It's so
good. Yeah.
Honestly, we haven't mentioned the smoking.
Oh,
with Tsai yet. I mean, I'm almost like watching these movies again. I'm like, is this why Blake smokes? Yes. Like, I'm like, this is definitely why. That's why Blake started smoking. I'm like looking at Blake's like, when did Blake start watching Tsai? Like, when did he start smoking cigs?
It had to be like this in One Car Why, basically.
Like, it was definitely Tsai.
No, because like, dude, we like the first time we see her, or actually both of them in the mall, like when she smokes that cig, it's like honestly an all time great shot too.
No, yeah, whenever they start cruising.
Yeah, but there's a lot of great smoking shots in this one.
No, they're smoking all the goddamn time. It's like it's why it's hard to get through the movie without taking a smoke break. Obviously, it's impossible almost.
Just smoke it while you're watching. That was how it was designed. You know, in the '90s they were smoking cigs.
Do you know that Ringo or not Ringo Lam? Johnny To was doing an interview recently in China, and someone asked him like, "What is his least favorite thing about like movies nowadays?" And he was like, "Well, you know, nowadays I'd just rather watch my movies at home because you can't like." The like theater experience has been taken away. Like you can't like smoke in theaters anymore. And he's like, "Oh, I probably should have said that."
Honestly, and also, honestly, like the fact that there's like not as much smoking in movies nowadays is like worse for.
It's worse.
Like
for cinema for sure. Like smoke is just part of like
you need it. Like it's like it should be like an essential thing.
It honestly is, and we all know that actors are smoking anyway.
But see, that's why. But that's the thing. That's why you can't have it in movies nowadays. Because the actors don't smoke. It doesn't look realistic.
Is there like fake?
Like there's did you guys watch No Hard Feelings?
Oh my god.
The only reason I bring that up is because there's a scene where Jennifer Lawrence smokes a cigarette in it.
Oh.
And I was like, she does not smoke cigs. Like it looks so bad. Like you can tell, like the way she's holding it. It's like it doesn't look authentic. Like if you watch like fucking like
Elliot Gould Long Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's smokes cigs. Like he probably smokes cigs. You can tell. You have to know if an actor.
If you watch Li Kangsheng, you know this man smokes mad.
Exactly.
Dude.
You have to know if the actor smokes cigs off the clock. You can kind of tell. You know?
In afternoon, I'm fairly certain Lee Kong-shin goes through 6 cigarettes in 2 hours. I started counting after the first couple, and there was like 4 more. So
yeah, you can tell this guy's experience.
Oh, definitely experienced.
But nowadays actors are way too health conscious and stuff. You know, they care about their lungs. And shit.
Yeah.
Wait, is Elliot Gould still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Did he act or anything?
He was in Ocean's 11, the Ocean's trilogy, but that was like I don't think he's acted. Really.
That's like Gene Hackman still being alive too, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp's still alive. Wait, Gene Hackman's still alive?
Yeah, there was this picture that came out of him this year.
How old is he?
Very old.
I'm about to look
He
that
has
up.
to be like 100. Like, Jesus Christ, he's been alive forever.
93.
Damn.
I mean, Clint Eastwood's 93.
No, Clint Eastwood. I knew
Also.
about that. Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's in there.
Which honestly, this is just like proving that cigarettes.
Who has
are
his
good
last
for
movie
you.
coming out this year? We might have to do
His
this
last?
I'm pretty sure.
He actually said this is his last. He's
movie,
retiring.
yeah.
Holy shit!
I haven't seen a single Clint Eastwood directed movie.
But honestly, if I was Clint, I would just keep saying that to get movies made. It probably helps, like, just get a budget and stuff, you know?
Oh, this is the last.
You can,
Clint
yeah,
Eastwood,
exactly.
guys. What a legend!
Yeah.
See, this man just proves that like smoking cigarettes is good for you. Apparently,
Yeah.
you know he smokes cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
With that face. Like, but yeah, let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic. No, so I really like that whenever they walk out of the convenience store, like June calls May again and asks if she wants to come over to his place, which is kind of funny because you're like, is he just saying like for her to come back to the apartment that they're all sharing anyway, basically?
Yeah.
But she immediately hangs up, which also is like kind of showing her power almost, in my opinion.
Wait. This is the part where he calls her and she says, I'm at work, when she lies.
Yeah, no, I thought.
Wait, what are we?
I don't
Because
think
in my
so.
notes anyway, this is like
Is this
when they
before he
smoke together in the
offers-
bathroom,
Okay.
and then after they're still together, the two guys, and he calls her. He's like he actually borrows coins.
Yes.
Yeah,
from
Because
Lee
he almost
Kang.
leaves, but then he comes
You're
back.
talking about this phone call, right?
Yeah.
But they do talk to each other.
No, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's actually a funny line because they know what she's doing, but she doesn't know that they
Yes,
know what she's
exactly.
doing. So when she lies, it makes it even funnier because he's
Yeah.
like, "Where are you right now?" She's like, "I'm at work."
Yeah.
Like, and he knows that she's
Yeah.
sleeping. He's like, "I know you're sleeping," and she's like,
Yeah.
"How would you know that?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's just like a little moment like that. These kind of like hints at voyeurism, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she's like, I mean, she doesn't. She didn't know that they were both in there. Like, it's actually insane.
Because it's
She has like no awareness.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean that might be part of like he might be saying about something about that too. You know,
Yeah.
at least a certain aspects of reality she doesn't seem to have an awareness to.
Yeah, but the next thing we see is Jung offers to give
The ride. Well, this is the
yeah.
funny the line because did you know what columbarium was? That's what he says.
No, I
He's
did
like,
not know what
do
that
you
was.
get?
I
What do
was
you
like,
sell?
what
And
the
he's like columbarium.
Yeah.
And I was like looking that up like before because he
Yeah.
kind of hangs on the joke.
He does.
Because
Yeah.
I was and then he's like, what is that? And he's like a cremation container. And this is it's so funny too because like Lee Kang-sheng's face, like he's looking at the eyes of Ah-sung.
Yeah.
Just to see what his reaction is going to be when he says cremation container, to see if it's going to be
Yes.
negative or not. You know, like to see like if it's going to be weirded out. And he's not that
Yeah.
weirded out. You can tell
Yeah.
like he likes that about him. You know, he's
Yeah.
like not that weirded out that he sells cremation containers. You know, just like damn, it makes perfect sense too for his character. Once like
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. Like
No, it really is just a hilarious like what do you do? I sell whatever it is,
Columbarium.
like, columbariums
Yeah.
because I had no idea what he said. I was like, what the fuck is that?
yeah, because he could have just left it there. Like if someone just wouldn't have asked too, you could just leave it there too.
Yeah.
There would be some people like
They'd be like,
would never
oh,
even
okay.
ask. Like, oh, you sell that.
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever that is.
But it makes what happens next even better, honestly, because like he says like I'll take. I think we already
yeah.
say like I'll take you one place anywhere
Yeah,
you want to go,
wherever
and then they just go to a funeral home,
Oh my god.
dude.
and it's like,
It's so funny.
is this where he works?
Well,
Where Lee Kong-shin works? Like, because he's
I think
selling
it's like
herbs,
more like,
so.
or he finds clients there or something. You know, it's a good
Maybe,
place for him to sell
maybe,
clients. You know, which is funny.
You need an earning.
Because that's what I was saying. We see the other guys also making his sales pitch. But he's like almost the exact opposite of Lee Kang-sheng. Like he's like really like outgoing.
yeah.
And he's like, oh, he's like, let's move to the children's ones or something like that. He says family ones or something.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
said
even-
he said family ones.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
like,
sure.
damn,
The
that's even more depressing. But
the
the way he
children
says it
ones.
is like,
The children.
This guy's a pro.
yeah.
No, I do love the shot in this one of like Lee Kong Shin just like standing right in the middle of like all the rows of everything looking the exact same. Like he's lost in like the dead, like the land of the dead almost. Like I don't know. That's kind of what made me think of.
Or maybe
it.
he likes being there though.
Yeah,
That's how I thought of it. You know?
Yeah, it kind of looked. It
like
it
literally wherever you
same,
like, and that's where he cuts to like literally that shot.
It kind of gave me somewhat similar vibes though to him like freaking out being stuck in the arcade in Rebels of the Neon God.
Oh, okay.
At least to me, it kind of gave off similar vibes, but
the reason why I kind of disagree is like he feels comfortable to me in this one.
I think
like this is like almost where it's almost his element in a weird way, you know?
He's at work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because like I don't know if Tsai is actually trying to say anything, but there is some kind of feeling you get is like when you hear that he sells, you know, cremation containers.
Yes.
It's just like a weird. It's almost like a joke in itself, but it's also a very real thing. You know, like people need.
No, yeah. I mean, after this, it's just a lot more of just people getting ready. Like, I especially like the shot of like May actually getting ready in the mirror. Like she's putting all the moisturizer on her face, and she has to keep on like wiping the steam away. Yeah. I don't know. So we do get Kong cross-dressing.
Yes, this I mentioned that earlier.
Yes, this is after they have like their hot pot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like Ajun goes to like I think he goes to start selling dresses because that's what happens like later. I mean that's where Kong like finds him later, whenever he says he couldn't sleep. But yeah, he starts just like cross-dressing, and yeah, you did talk about this earlier, Danny. Of just like
because then he starts doing cartwheels and he's like doing push-ups too.
It's just like
I think it's like that. What you were saying about the expression. Like, this is maybe his release, or his moment of release, you know? Yeah. Or at least some kind of trying to find some expression, like, I don't know.
Well, actually, the point of release is the scene where he kisses the guy.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
But this is like a sort of kind of that.
At least maybe showing the frustration.
Showing maybe, it's like, boy, it's
definitely frustration, because he does start, like, fondling himself, looking in the mirror.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a very intimate... This is where it's like... why our podcasts at best are companions to the movies, because you have to watch them at the end of the day, you know, because there are like I forgot I was reading some review about Tsai's they were talking about Tsai's movies over the course of his career, and like one of the aspects they pointed out was like you could see Tsai's movies as being almost like a pornographic viewing of Lee King-sheng's body aging over time.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, and like I've kind of like been watching, like that's what one of the things I'm watching over is like how he films his body over the course of these movies.
Yeah, you'll notice too.
I know, because I mean, you've told me about basically like the brutality of his body filming all those Walker shorts.
Yeah.
That he has to put on his body and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, kind of just like how, like it's important to watch the movies too, because like just talking about it's not enough. It's like the act of actually filming a body and stuff. And like what that means as it ages over time is like I think a really important aspect of Tsai's movies, and it's like I don't know. I that just watch it like this scene specifically. You know, it's hard to talk about certain scenes, which like you just have to watch them.
No, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, and I mean you'll definitely see how his body ages throughout all these movies for sure.
Very much.
Like I know you're specifically talking about what I was saying like the Walker is like, or like all his Walker series is like so bad. That's what he thinks made his neck like worse for days. Basically, is because he had to like walk in like mega slow motion in the same posture of like his arms like up here and like his neck all scrunched and everything. And that's one of the reasons he said like. That's one of the reasons he at least thinks his neck is all fucked up from like because Days is basically just like we'll get to that like in a few podcasts, but Days is basically just Lee Kong-shen's life at that point in time,
basically.
Because I know it started with the Tsai filming. I know it just started with Tsai filming like his the pain he was dealing with and the recovery from like his neck injury, and then it just kind of went from there. But yeah, what I have in my notes
because it's like that merging of cinema and reality, right? Like
yes,
the cinema aspect of filming a body, right?
Yes,
and we're watching that cinema, but at the same time, it's like you're saying, like this had an impact on his real life, and like you're saying, he's trying to get us close to reality as possible.
He
like,
is trying to get as close as
or maybe
reality as possible.
maybe not getting as close to reality, but trying to just merge the two. Maybe it's making its own thing. Almost.
I think he's trying to show us a reality, but I didn't even mention earlier in the show, or not in the show, in the movie, like one of the first shots. I know I mentioned it earlier, but like it's just a mirror and Lee Kong Shin's looking at it.
Oh, in the gas station.
Yeah, in the gas station. It's like mirrors are a way of showing like an illusion, basically, like an illusion of reality almost,
Which I think kind of connects
or
to
like
film,
your own reality,
because film is an illusion.
Yes,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to like say. Basically, is like Tsai's trying to do that. Basically, with all his movies, like showing us that what he's showing is kind of like real life, but it's still an illusion of like a reality at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still not actually real.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I have next in my notes is just like people doing nothing in quotation marks,
Let's
go.
But yeah, but the next major thing that happens, I do want to talk about May's face whenever she wakes up and downs that glass of water. It seems like she's about to like go back to sleep, and their alarm clock starts ringing. Like she just woke up like right before, and I was like, oh man, that's probably literally the worst feeling of all time.
I probably got another hour or so.
But the next thing that actually happens, like major thing, is Kong and Jung are both selling dresses that get on the sidewalk, and then May shows up. And then it's like basically kind of like a version of the cruising from earlier, but it's way shorter this time because she just walks across the street after like parading in front of him for a little bit.
Yeah.
She like walks across the street to the street vendor to get some food, and then he goes to join her. June goes to join her, and this is whenever like Kong just says, "Okay, fuck it, I'm leaving," because like he got left there just with the dresses.
Yeah,
he just
I
like walks
I was like,
off.
because I remember thinking, like, is he actually gonna stay there? Like,
No.
he's gone right
No,
away.
he leaves, and then it leads to like the amazing shot of him just like looking at the bed before they get there, because he goes back to the apartment.
Yeah, he gets there first.
And that's one of my favorite shots of the movie, is just him looking at the bed, because the bed's just lit in this amazing glow of like it's like what he's been waiting for this entire time, basically. Because he like lays on it first before they arrive, and then he hears them coming. And the easiest thing, like, you can tell, at least to me, it feels like you can tell he wanted to be in the room, because it seems like he could have easily run to the other room, maybe?
Yeah.
Or, like, run somewhere else, but he just hides directly under the bed.
Yes. He wants to be in there.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
No. Yeah, he definitely does.
Yes, but we don't know specifically where he hid. We know he's still in that room, and we assume he's probably under the bed, maybe, but he might have hid in the bathroom, so you don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But they start having like sex again,
Yeah.
and then I love the shot of him just like slowly panning down. You see Lee Kong Shing under the bed,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's just like a shot of like the clothes up there, and then like you just see him down here. It's like everything's starting.
And this
to
is what
happen.
I'm saying. Like, this is a very similar kind of moment to in Rebels of the Neon God. Like, but it's like they're on the opposite side of the room where the brother's jerking off to the.
Yeah.
It's very similar kind of.
Oh, it is
moment.
very similar. Yeah, it's
Like
what he
connecting-
likes to do. In his
It's almost like
movies.
connecting like this weird kind of connection he's saying. Like, it's like a modern version of connection almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's like voyeuristic connection.
this voyeuristic connection will never get taken further than the Wayward Cloud, because like the ending of that movie is literally what we're saying.
Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
it's actually the like release of the moment of like
You
'cause
don't-
this
don't
is all
spoil it,
like, I'm
don't
not
spoil it.
spoiling it.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying like this is all like him wanting to connect and be the person she's with, but like the Wayward Cloud like takes it to the next level. But we'll get to that in a couple weeks. But yeah, the sex scene is just like it's so good. Like it's just it's something that sets Psy apart, is how good the sex scenes are, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he's actually using it for a purpose
Yes,
as part of the
exactly.
movie, and not just let's get let's do something for the guys here or something.
Exactly.
Like that,
Okay, that has a purpose.
Okay, all right.
Hey now.
You know.
Slow down. We're not speaking for all of us.
Oppenheimer, you know.
Okay, that definitely has purpose. Okay, actually, maybe
Lawrence Pugh.
I forgot Lawrence Pugh. Yeah, so
That's
that's like
purpose. It's for the guys. But this scene is for everyone, honestly. Or these scenes are for like. Just
Either
anyone
way,
that's
even
kinda
if people
lonely,
like
honestly.
people really have to stretch to show me the purpose of that one compared to Psy's movies anyway.
No, yeah.
Where it's very directly theme of his movies.
Yes.
yes.
And that's why, to me, like, there is this moment where it's like, at least for it's actually now that I think about it, it's almost like you can see it as funny, but it's the person who gets the most release in this movie, in this moment between these three people, you could say, is Lee Kang Sheng, and he's not even the one involved. You know, he's just he's the voyeur in this one, in this scene. And because the reason I say that is because like the big release in this movie to me is obviously probably the scene we're kind of coming up to. This last scene in the movie. We still have a little. No, we're actually pretty close.
Yeah, we're like
There's like 20 minutes from this point to the last.
In terms of things that have happened, it's actually pretty close.
This is we're like my notes are like this big for the last few minutes because it comes.
And the reason I say that is because that release is to me like this is actually the true release of the movie of this moment of her just crying, letting it all out.
For sure.
For
everything else, everything else has almost been kind of like distraction or dodging it, for, like avoiding this moment.
Yeah,
And it's like I love it because like it's such a good depiction of that because like sometimes all you just want to do is like just like let it all out. Like, sometimes you just get like that. Life just kind of takes its toll.
No, this is my 400 Blows comparison, obviously, because it's literally shot in the same exact composition as the 400 Blows, like the same exact camera angle, camera length, camera distance, like. Her walk from the very beginning, like Tsai's following her, like the exact same way Antoine's running. Except, like, this is where the difference comes in, though. Like, they're serving two separate purposes. It's almost like he's showing you, like, you can, like, the way you film something obviously changes the meaning. Yeah. Like, the sounds change the meaning, basically. Like, this is why I wanted to bring up, like, the silence, like, with you guys earlier, because, like, in 400 Blows, whenever he's running away, there is a score playing after a little while of like kind of whimsical, like saying things might be okay, and he's going to see the ocean for the first time, which he's never seen before. It's kind of like showing like he's almost escaped. This one is like no music whatsoever. The walk to the theater that she goes to is just her heels clicking in her ears over and over and over again, which is just like. Like, what does that signify to you guys? To me, it's like it's just like reverberating just her loneliness right back at her. Yeah. Like,
I think the sounds are important, but the thing that I noticed watching that walk, and I was glad too because in that interview I said Tsai actually mentioned this, but I noticed the background, like the park, like because I was in my notes I was writing park. I was like, wait, is this even a park? Because it's like very barren. There's like no trees at all, and this goes to another point where it's almost like the opposite of the 400 Blows ending. Because the 400 Blows, he's running through a forest. There's like a lot of trees. And this one, it's like you can tell it's like a park that's just been set up, kind of. Because there's like some trees, but they have like the still like scaffolding of like when you're putting the mini tree up. And then there's like no grass, very barren, just like a very depressing walk for her.
Yes.
And then and so then when I was reading this that Tsai interview, he says because the guy asked him about the ending, and Tsai said originally. The ending was supposed to be a hopeful ending. With the park, that park apparently was supposed to be finished by the time they had finished. They shot this last scene.
Yeah,
and apparently this park that they're filming was finished. They actually opened it, and he said what actually depressed him was he realized that even though they opened the park, it looked exactly the same as as it did before, and that's why he changed it to this like more sad ending.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, like even that like little detail. Adds to that ending, of her crying too. Yes. Almost like that realization too,
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, because like I noticed this time like this park is like it's not a park, like it's like not, it's like
no.
He's making some kind of point of it, like she's walking through almost like a barren wasteland, at some, that kind of thing.
A barren wasteland she can't escape from. Like I really like her heels reverberating just back at her the entire walk down at the amphitheater. Like
I'm telling you, these footsteps, man.
It's definitely crazy. like that's why I was like why I wanted to like make you guys pay attention to like the sound, especially as we continue on, because he definitely uses it for a purpose. Like the absence of sound in this just to amplify her heels. Obviously, and the absence of sound in the next part, just to hear her sobbing for 5 minutes straight. Like, could you imagine watching this at the theater with someone, like with people just all around you? Like, honestly, it would be so uncomfortable.
It could go either way. It could go either way. Like, there could be some crowds that just get too restless. They get annoying.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Just to get restless in general. Like, that's a reaction.
It's what he's trying to do. I think. Like, he's trying to make you uncomfortable in the scene.
Exactly.
Obviously.
And to me, I think I remember you telling me this quote. I forgot what it was during. It was like you said Tsai likes making movies where like you actually watch the person smoke cigarettes 5 times.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of it. And I thought about that watching this scene cry, because watching this, she actually goes through like a lot of waves of crying.
Yeah, she's like getting hair in her face and everything. Like,
and there's some times where she's like crying really hard, and then you can tell she's like starting to lose steam.
Yeah,
and then like that part where you cry and there's like no tears, and then she like smokes the cig to like recover.
Yeah,
and there's even a part where like you think she's about to start crying again. And then she doesn't. It's like there's like just a lot of little moments, even this like 5 minute scene where it's like it has to be real time. It's amazing acting too, because they're like holy shit.
It's fucking amazing.
How the hell do you do this?
See, I didn't even think about
No,
that.
I have
But,
no
like,
idea.
Yeah, like yeah, like it's you couldn't do this with any shorter of a scene, basically. Like
Oh no, especially to get all these details, kind of like
yeah.
to what like you could tell he probably asked that question what it's like for someone to actually cry like this.
Honestly,
Not to only hint at it,
Yeah.
which I also like, but still.
Yeah, honestly, I'm honestly curious, like what Tsai told the actress like to do it. Like that's gotta be crazy. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I don't know. Some actresses are just really good, and she's one of them.
That's
So,
it, yeah.
but I do. The last thing before I guess we finish up this episode is like I do think it's important the venue he chose to show the last scene, like, and honestly the angle he shoots it at, because it's like she's in a theater in an amphitheater where she's kind of like looking down at where the performers would be on the stage. Yeah. Whereas, like, we're in a theater, obviously looking up at her or looking down at her, wherever, like, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But it's like he chose a theater, I think, for a reason. Obviously,
Okay,
it's kind of like
could be she's reflecting
looking
on
at you. She's looking. It's kind of like how I view Dragon Inn's. Like,
yeah.
honestly.
Or okay, actually, I just thought of this. It could be she's crying because she's reflecting on what just happened in the movie, and like that's like kind of supposed to be her looking at the movie.
No, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I honestly think it's her like looking at us too, though.
It could be.
Like,
Yeah, it could be both. Definitely. Could be
I
both.
honestly think
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do with that, because she's like in a theater and like where are you doing watching like at theater, like you're watching what's on screen basically or what's on the stage,
Especially
and she's looking directly at us because there is a specific scene or like there's a specific part in this where she's starting to compose herself and she actually looks directly at the camera for like a second.
Yeah. Well, this kind of where she is, but it also connects to the 400 blows in it because, of course, the famous
Still
freeze frame.
the freeze frame.
Where this doesn't end in freeze frame, but it kind of like it still has like the kind of like
It has that impression on us.
it has your it leaves an impression on you.
Yeah.
In which it kind of connects it because 400 blows, he's not crying, but he's very much like after this moment, he's like very like he's unsure of what to do now. Like, he's like
still an unsure moment.
He doesn't know what to do next, and so it's like it's sort of connected in that way. Like they're both like confused.
I think honestly,
Lost,
honestly, damn.
maybe in some
Confused,
way.
but one of them is at least free in quotation marks.
That's why I disagree. I mean, I get what you're saying because it is the first time he sees the ocean.
Yeah.
But watching the 400 blows, like he sees the ocean, but then when we actually see the freeze frame, it's when he actually turns around again, almost like a little panic. Like he has to go back.
Like
and that's why
where am I
because
gonna go?
on that freeze frame, it does look like, at least in my opinion, he has like a little panic in his eyes.
Yeah,
when it freezes.
that's what I think. Yeah,
and that's why I think it kind of relates to maybe the same thing. Her same kind of feeling in this one.
I never connected the two before you said that.
Yeah, me too. And it makes sense, like even like running through a forest or through trees, even though Sai's like
It's a concrete forest.
a concrete forest, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's Vive L'Amour. Great fucking movie.
What a picture.
It's an amazing movie, dude. Like, Psy should just put all of his movies on the Sight and Sound list, honestly, next time.
Honestly,
No, I'm just kidding. No, next week, though, we are... Let me just confirm that we're doing the two I think we're doing. But week 2 of Psy is going to be The River, for sure. And I'm pretty sure The Hole. Let me find it.
The River and the Hole.
Yes, The River and the Hole. Okay. I was right. So, until next time, we hope to see you guys floating through the clouds.